Love and Renton on Sports Radio 93.3 KJR FM.
All right, boys and girls, back here at the Virginia Mason Athletic Center. Day one of the NFL Draft. We are through pick number 2, Fernando Mendoza. No shock, Indiana. To the Raiders at number 1. David Bailey, edge rusher, Texas Tech, goes to the Jets at number 3. That puts the Arizona Cardinals on the clock now at number 3. Let's find out what they did.
With the third pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, the Arizona Cardinals select Jeremiah Love, running back, Notre Dame.
Jeremiah Love, running back, Notre Dame. 6 foot, 214 pounds.
Jeremiah Love gets the carry, running left, has a hole. It's a foot race. 30, 20, 10. You gotta be kidding me. It's a touchdown.
Love won the Doak Walker Award in 2025, given to college football's top running back, amassing almost 1,400 yards rushing with 18 touchdowns. The unanimous All-American is also considered a 3-down back, as evidenced by his 27 receptions last season. The former high school state champion sprinter is fast and showed off his 4.36 40-yard dash time at the NFL Combine. Love's body is built for the pros, lending many to compare him to some of the top backs in today's NFL.
All right, well, we'll see him twice a year, right, guys? Jeremiah Love is now a Cardinal. They got a brand new head coach, too, and Mike LaFleur. Don't really have a quarterback. It's Brissett, Gardner Minshew, and Keaton Slovis for now, but they got some weapons, Huey, down there. Marvin Harrison, Michael Wilson, Kendrick Bourne came over, Trey McBride, really good tight end. So they got a quarterback in next year's draft, man. Look out. Jeremiah Love is now a Cardinal running back.
Yeah, and there's some questions about their offensive line, but I think when you look at what Love brings, I think he's kind of once every 3, 4, 5 year running back. What box doesn't he check? I mean, he's got the vision. He's got the speed and acceleration. He's got the lateral quickness to make you miss at the hole. He can catch the football. He has an unbelievable locker room presence in terms of the commitment, the character. So I look and say, hey, we can try and build our offensive line, but you're only going to have an opportunity to get a running back like this, as I said,
right,
every handful of years, and you might not be in a position to get him. So if I'm the Cardinals, this is exactly the move I make.
Maybe there's a reason Arizona didn't list a starting running back on their depth chart yesterday.
Right.
When we talked to Jody Ayler, who said, "Oh, we got James Connor, we got Trey Benson. You don't have
they
this
signed
guy.
Algiers in free agency.
You don't have this
His
guy."
point was that he went to the Cardinals website. They had no running backs on the roster.
No, they did. They had a third string. They didn't have a first or a second
Right.
listed.
So somebody forgot to add Algiers, obviously, but clearly Algiers is now your number 2.
Yeah, I mean, this guy's the only guy in college football that was a draftable player that I thought was a superstar. Like, I mean, the moment I saw this guy, I was like, this guy just looks like a stud NFL running back right now. And I think if 5 years down the road, who's the best player out of this draft? I'm putting my money on this guy.
Well, I think that in a lot of people's eyes, he's the cleanest prospect because, as we said, there is no there's no box that's left unchecked. And
right.
and for me, you know, just kind of looking at that ability, that elusiveness in the hole, the ability when he goes straight ahead and he sees a tackler, his ability to go sideways and then like a lightning bolt, he changes angles 90 degrees at full speed, doesn't lose his acceleration. And so to me, I think he's a runner in the category of a Bijan Robinson. And
let me cut you off.
Yeah.
Let's go to Pittsburgh. Titans we're moving quick. I love this. Titans now up at number 4. Here's the commissioner.
With the fourth pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, the Tennessee Titans select Carnell Tate, wide receiver, Ohio State.
Carnell Tate, wide receiver, Ohio State. 6'2", 192 pounds.
Back to pass near the 50-yard line. Howard looks and he zips that one deep down the middle of the field for Tate. He's got it to the 2 and into the end zone. Carnell Tate
Tate continues the tradition in Columbus of top-tier pass catchers heading to the NFL. Tate celebrates touchdowns by blowing a kiss to the sky. It's a tribute to his late mother, Ashley, who was killed in a drive-by shooting in 2023. During his 3 seasons at Ohio State, Tate won a national championship and then averaged over 17 yards per catch with 9 touchdowns in 2025, distinguishing himself for his ability to win contested catches and box out defensive backs from the ball.
Yeah, I'm glad they mentioned that there. People have wondered why he does that. His mom was killed in the drive-by shooting in Chicago 3 years ago. So every time he touches the ball, he blows a kiss to her. 51 catches, 875 yards. Kind of held in check by the Huskies a little bit. I guess that was a win. 3 catches for 33 against the Dogs. But Carnell Tate becomes the first Ohio State player, one of what probably will be many in the first round.
Well, let's talk about the Titans for a second. I had been asked by the 33rd team to present on Cam Ward. I don't know, like 3/4 of the way through the season. I couldn't believe how void of talent they were at wide receiver. Calvin Ridley would be barely a low-level number 2. And he's a guy that I mean, before he broke his leg, he only had 303. Like,
you know who their best wide receiver was? It was Alec Iamaner. Who the hell's Alec Iamaner?
DK, and I mean, they're just on tape. You just look and you go, whoa. He's got nothing. Now Carnell Tate, so absolutely a position in need for a team drafting number 4. Carnell Tate comes in, and I think at 6'2", and 192 pounds. There's almost a Jerry Rice-like quality to him in terms of an extreme polish in how he runs his routes, and then his ability to go after and get the contested catch rate. He won 86% of the contested catch rates.
Hugh, how do you rank him with Egbuka, Harrison, JSN, Garrett Wilson, Olave, all these Ohio State wide receivers over the last 4 drafts? This is now the 6th Ohio State wide receiver in the first round in the last 4 drafts.
Jeremy Smith, you heard the snippet.
He'll be next year,
there. He's over 17 yards per catch. Jeremiah Smith last year only had 14.
Right.
So even though I'm sitting there telling you and everybody acknowledges he's not, the one knock, he doesn't have that elusiveness, yes. He doesn't have certainly Jerry Rice run after the catch, and he doesn't have that explosiveness was the word I'm looking for. He that long speed, that acceleration. So the athletic traits are not elite.
Right.
So I would say he's kind of in the middle of the pack on maybe an Olave type would be the comparison that I would use. JSN coming out, just a totally different body style and had played almost exclusively in the slot. So Garrett Wilson, maybe there's a comp there, but I would say Olave more than anybody.
Hey, don't forget, too, I'd be remiss, they also did go out and sign Wan'Dale Robinson, who had 140 targets a year ago, 1,000 yards with the Giants. So it's now Cam Ward's getting this guy, Carnell Tate, and they're getting Wan'Dale Robinson. It's not a ton, but it's way better than what they had last year.
I'm sitting there watching regular season tape of Cam Ward, and I feel like I'm watching August tape, because everybody's throwing to him look like preseason level wide receivers that are going to be cut. So at any event, they had to address the targets for their former number 1 pick.
We've got a reported trade. The Giants are on the clock right now at number 5. We're going to get their pick in a minute. Ian Rappaport is reporting Kansas City is about to move up, we think, from number 9, but they also have 29. That's the pick they got in the McDuffie deal. Rappaport reporting they're about to move up to number 6 in this draft after the
Cleveland.
Giants. Correct, with the Browns. So could they be going after a secondary player? They lost 2 guys, man. They lost Watson. They lost McDuffie. They also lost a safety and Brian Cook. So who knows what the Chiefs are up to. But
got to be a corner, right?
Yeah, Mendoza goes number 1. No shock there. David Bailey, edge rusher, Texas Tech to the Jets at 2. Jeremiah Love to Arizona at 3, and then Carnell Tate, wide receiver, just went to Tennessee at number 4. So we'll see where the Chiefs are up to, but the Giants pick will be on the air in just a minute from now.
Giants, they are a team that they need help on the defensive line. They need help on the offensive line. They've got to keep Jackson Dart out of that blue tent. Cornerback, they're poised now with a new, reset with Harbaugh
Right.
to really make inroads. But
that may have been one of the images of the year last season. Remember Brian Dable going into the tent, screaming at the doctor, "Get him the hell out of there!"
And rolling his
so I can
eyes
get
coming
Russell
out.
Wilson off the field.
Yeah.
Remember that? I mean, look, Dick, you like Jackson Dart from the start. I think we all saw kind of what you saw last year in New York, that this guy's got some skill, but he needs help. I mean, obviously Scadaboo's going to be back after his injury. Malik Neighbors, we don't know about him. He tore his knee up in week 4. Their defense was terrible. 26th in scoring defense. They were awful against the run, but now they got a new coach in Harbaugh, and he's bringing at least 4, maybe 5 guys over from Baltimore. So you would think he's going to go defense here at number 5.
I think the Giants are my candidate to improve by more games than any team in the NFL next year.
4-13 last year.
I mean,
right.
I think it's a legit playoff team that if Philadelphia slips, if Dallas is kind of Dallas,
right,
I could see the Giants winning 9 games and being right there at the top of that division.
Well, I think there's an interesting discussion there. They got Joe Shane going into his 5th year as the GM. Now Harbaugh comes in. He's a forceful personality, obviously a lot of accomplishments, and I just wonder if a power struggle could emerge from that, in that Harbaugh is going to be locked in. He can afford to think about the future,
right.
But can Joe Shane afford to think about the future, and is he more compelled to make a little bit of a pick that's for the now as opposed to a little bit of a developmental player?
Right,
like
right.
Arvell Reese, okay, he would be a guy that would be say, okay, that might take a little bit of polishing in terms of his talent, but the ceiling with him is going to be next level. So I think what happens with Harbaugh and Shane going to be interesting.
We're going to get the Giants pick here in a second. The trade is now being reported as official. Chiefs are going to move up to number 6 with the Browns. It'll be number 6-4 to move up 3 spots. The price is going to be $74 and $148 for Kansas City.
I think it'll be a corner.
Let's find out what the Giants do. Let's go to the podium right now. They're on the clock at number 5. Excuse me.
TAPS, one of the NFL Salute to Service partners. We are honored to recognize the surviving family of United States Army Major Paul C. Volke. Major Volke sustained tragic, fatal injuries while deployed in Afghanistan. He is survived by his spouse, Tracy, and their 2 sons, Andrew and Benjamin. Major Volke was raised in the Hudson Valley and was a lifelong fan of the New York Giants, a tradition he proudly passed on to his sons. Volke family, take it away.
With the 5th overall pick of the 2026 NFL Draft, the New York Football Giants select Arvell Reese, linebacker from the Ohio State University.
Arvell Reese, edge rusher, Ohio State, 6'4", 243 pounds.
Manning, stepping up, and he's taken down behind the line of scrimmage. Arvell Reese.
At 20 years old, Arvell Reese imposes an intimidating presence, but still has room to grow into his frame. The first-team AP All-American can provide an elite presence as either an off-ball linebacker or a stand-up edge. Reese possesses elite playmaking ability with an excellent blend of speed and explosiveness that can lead Reese to developing into a top-flight defender in the NFL.
All right, well, there you go. Arvell Reese, back-to-back players from Ohio State. He's now a member of the Giants. John Harbaugh goes defense in his first draft.
Yeah, only 14 career starts. We were kind of alluding to this fact that maybe he'd be a little bit more of a project. I think his best years may be 2, 3, 4 years down the line, but, he's rare traits, impact defender. Just think in your mind, Micah Parsons. An inside linebacker where he's played, an edge guy at 6'4.5" and sub 4.5. That's a 99th percentile in speed. for an edge guy, just the versatility. I absolutely see him having a Micah Parsons impact. Micah Parsons, they said, well, you only had 7 sacks at Penn State. Well, this guy had 6.5. I mean, there's just so many comparisons here.
Right.
But I think that this is a sign that they're willing to say, okay, in 2-3 years, this guy could be among the best defensive players in the league.
No doubt. We're going to break. We are through pick number 5. The Chiefs have made a trade with the Browns. They've moved up from 9 to 6. In exchange, they give up a 3rd rounder and a 5th rounder to Cleveland. Will the Chiefs try and replace Trent McDuffie here at number 6? We'll find out next. The draft continues on 93.3 KJR FM.
Hey, Dick Fain here. I always talk to you about my guys
93.3 KJR FM.
All right, we're back here at the Virginia Mesa Athletic Center, and as somebody once told me, we are cooking with gas, boys and girls. We are about 45 minutes in, already through pick number 6 in the NFL draft. The Chiefs now on the clock. They made a trade with the Browns. They give up the number 9 pick, a 3rd rounder, and a 5th rounder to move up to number 6. Let's see what they do with that new pick that used to belong to the Browns, but now belongs to them at number 6.
With the 6th pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, the Kansas City Chiefs select Mansour Delane, defensive back, LSU.
Yeah, well, it just made too much sense. I mean, they lost McDuffie. They lost Jalen Watson, obviously, as well. Both those players to the Rams. They also lost a safety and Brian Cooks, and they needed to rework the secondary. They just did it with Mansour Delane, 5'11", 3/4, $187 out of LSU. Started off at Virginia Tech and then transferred to Baton Rouge for his last year. His brother is also a safety at LSU after he played at Ohio State. So the Chiefs just replaced Trent McDuffie with Mansour Delane.
And that's an interesting point on this. They spent a lot of resources to just kind of get back to where they were with McDuffie. Now, obviously, there's contracts involved. You got Mahomes and his contract, and so they would probably tell you, well, we're getting a player at the level of McDuffie, but or can be at the level, but we're paying him a lot less. If you want a guy that has the least projection, this is your guy. He's the safest pick in the class.
Yep.
How about this stat? 0 touchdowns allowed, 0 penalties in 2025. I've never heard of that.
Wow.
40 career starts, wins with elite anticipation. He baits quarterbacks. I love his feet. Just watching how he mirrors on really all kinds of moves and routes, but I particularly love how he mirrors in double moves. He has a patience so he doesn't get beat by him. Sub 4.4 speed, 88th percentile, unanimous All-American. Now, he had 94% of his snaps outside. McDuffie had been a slot guy when he came in.
Right.
Then they moved him to the outside, so they presumably are profiling him as an outside guy. Questions, 30-inch arms, that's the 8th percentile. 99, 100th being the best. Again, 8th percentile on arm length. Obviously, that 32-inch barometer wasn't important to the Chiefs, Dick, and because they get the highest floor corner in the draft, not just not flashy, but just consistently right.
Well, you raise a good point about getting back where you are, just a cheaper way of doing it, and just add Trent McDuffie to a list of Tyreek Hill and Mitchell Schwartz and Eric Fisher and Tyrann Mathieu and Frank Clark as guys the Chiefs had to get rid of because of Patrick Mahomes' contract. And, hey, Patrick Mahomes is worth his contract, but there is always a downside when you pay $50+ million for a quarterback.
Yeah, and they they get rid of Tyreek Hill and they try and draft speed. Xavier Worthy, I mean, it 532 yards last year. One touchdown. Like it hasn't translated. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, finish that thought, and then we'll get to the Commanders pick.
No.
Unless you're done already, I'll just jump in
done.
now.
Go,
okay,
go,
Hugh's done.
Man. Let's
you know what? Hey, remember this moment? Hugh's done. Okay, how's that? Let's get to the podium. The Commanders now on the clock at number 7. Here's the commissioner.
With the 7th pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, the Washington Commanders select Sonny Styles, linebacker, Ohio State.
All right, you know his dad, Lorenzo Styles, played linebacker for Ohio State, won a Super Bowl, Hugh, with the Rams. This is a guy that was a second-team AP All-American, first-team All-Big Ten, 14 starts, 6.5 tackles for loss, and a sack. He becomes the 3rd player in the last 4 picks to go out of Ohio State. Sonny Styles now a member of Dan Quinn's defense that took a serious step back. They were 13th in total D in 24 and then dead last year, including 142 on the ground. So no surprise DQ going defense here.
Well, I've never seen a duo of linebackers like what Ohio State had with Arvell Reese and Sonny Styles. Never seen it in college football. And then when you throw in Caleb Downs, who was a box safety, often you watch that end zone copy on the tape. You don't see the wide receivers in the corners. That second level of those 3 guys, never seen anything like it. Sonny Styles, he's prototype with the highest ceilings. 6'5", 99th percentile in height, 244 pounds. So he's a beast physically, but 4.4, 640, 99th percentile in his 40. Now think about that. You're in the 99th percentile in height and 40 as a lineman, and you still weigh 244 pounds. How about a 43.5-inch vertical? That speaks to his explosiveness, his explosion, and usually that correlates to how hard you can thump, how violent you can be. And so, look, his tackle, he had a 2.2% miss rate of 41 career starts. You got the durability.
Yeah.
I
got him at 42 starts, by the way, overall. But yeah, it's a lot of starts.
Yeah. How about 40-plus starts? Now he's only got one career interception in 950 snaps. Some of his linebacking instincts, because he's a former safety. Sometimes you look and you say, okay, is he going under the wash, over the wash? There's some things there where he's still learning that position despite all of his experience. But he's the highest ceiling linebacker in the class. If the instincts catch up, he will be a superstar linebacker in this league.
Well, we're a Caleb Downs pick in the next 3 picks, from Ohio State being the first team since Michigan State in 1967 to have 4 top 10 picks go. Is the order correct, Hugh? Order of guys that you would take from Ohio State: Tate, Reese, Styles, Downs. Is that the order you'd take it? All things being equal?
I think I think that it would be Reese and then Styles, then Downs or Tate. Probably Tate, then Downs.
Right.
Okay. But right. I hate to put any of them 4th place.
Yeah.
But I think that there was more of a need. I mentioned Tennessee. I've done a lot of studying of the Titans, as I had mentioned, and they were in desperate need of wide receiver help. So Tate. Right. I don't think Tate's the number 1 receiver on the board. I think he's the number 2 receiver on the board.
Yeah, you like the kid from Arizona State.
I think Jordan Tyson is the number 1. But the highest floor wide receiver is Tate.
Right.
Well, I mean, he's a pro from day one.
Yeah.
From day one.
You're talking about a team now that's on the clock in New Orleans that could use a Tate or a Jordan Tyson, because they got Rashid Shaheed in Seattle. I mean, you talk about the Chiefs giving up McDuffie and then replacing him with Mansour Delane. I mean, New Orleans, would be kind of almost a coup to give up Rashid Shaheed for a 4th and a 5th and then maybe land a guy like a Tate. They can have their pick, right? They can have Tyson. They can have Carnell Tate. I mean, they've got obviously Chris Olave there, but Devon Vele is their number 2 now. He had 25 catches a year ago. They signed Travis
Etienne.
Under
300 yards.
Yeah, terrible. No, I mean, just nobody else besides Olave. They signed Travis Etienne, offensive lineman David Edwards in free agency. Got a new starting linebacker in Caden Ellis, and now there's a concern about what's going to happen with Cam Jordan. I mean, there's rumors he may come back for his 16th year, but I mean, he's just up there in age. His twilight is upon him. 28th in scoring offense for Tyler Shuck, who from his days at Oregon. It looks like they're going to roll with him for a while.
Well, he was roommates with my son for a time there at Oregon. Good kid and big dude, 6'5", moves well, strong arm. He was stuck behind Justin Herbert, but bounced around, went to Texas Tech, broke his leg, went up to Louisville, so he's well-traveled. But anyway, a second-round pick last year, and with Kellen Moore, that thought, offensive-minded guy, that he played very well, did Shuck. So, but as you said, you've got Olave and then nothing after that.
And you need help there.
I think this. Now, there's injury questions about Tyson. Jordan Tyson.
Yeah.
But if those are satisfied, his tape is breathtaking.
So you're taking if you're taking a receiver here and you're Kellen Moore, and Mickey's still down there, right? Mickey Loomis still. He's been there forever. It's unbelievable how long he's been there, by the way. You're taking Tyson over Tate? If the injury questions, if you're satisfied.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. The only reason I would take Tate is a safer pick. But if you're feeling a little lucky and you can envision, this guy could be, he has a capacity, his body control. I see this routinely. He'll come out of a break, particularly on out-breaking routes. I've seen it on in-breaking routes, but before the ball gets there, he will slam on the brakes and go back to the ball, and he's making this loop back inside, and he's beating the corner. The corner's taking an angle to to meet him near the sideline.
Right.
But he loops back inside, and he's ready to go run after the catch, and then he's got this explosion. I mean, we're breaking down a guy we have no idea when he's going to get drafted.
Let's find out what they do. The Saints are about to make their selection here at number 9. Sonny Styles, linebacker, Ohio State, just went to the Commanders. Here's Roger Goodell with the Saints now at number 9, number 8, in the NFL draft.
A bit earlier than the Giants will make their second pick of the night. But here comes New Orleans and the commissioner, Roger Goodell, ready with the announcement.
With the 8th pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, the New Orleans Saints select Jordan Tyson, wide receiver, Arizona State.
All right, there you go. Well, obviously you like the pick. We just heard you drooling over Jordan Tyson, a guy that started off at Colorado and then went to Arizona State. So stayed in the Big 12. Didn't know it, but he stayed in the Big 12. Started off in the Pac-12 on a team that went to the Big 12 and then went to Arizona State, who was in the Big 12. You guys get that? Jordan Tyson, 61 catches, 8 touchdowns a year ago. He's now a member of the Saints offense.
Yeah, and you know, ACL, MCL, PCL, big-time injury there, collarbone, hamstring. So that, I mean, to give you an idea, think about this. How electric is this dude to have that kind of injury mark and still be a top 10 pick in the draft?
Right.
I'm at a position where you need to have your legs, right? You know, but
like, remember Jackson Smith and Jigba had the hammy his senior year and caught like 5 balls.
Yeah.
But he went like 20th.
Right. So this guy's over 6'2", over 200 pounds, 23 touchdowns. You know, they use him inside, they use him outside. I would just say his body control and his ability to accelerate and to play functionally how he reacts, where like he jumping over guys. I've seen him contort his body, keep his body's out of bounds, but his feet are in bounds, and somehow he stays and keeps running. And as I said, he with the ball in the air, he's already got a master plan on what he's doing with the ball after, because he is now has a sense of where the defender is, how he's going to cut the defender off, and then now he's got the acceleration to go get it. And by the way, he's just overcome with emotion now. You can imagine all the injuries, and he's a top eight
good for
player.
him.
But
this
is my favorite player in the draft.
Love it.
In terms of the tape.
We're going to break. We'll come back. The Chiefs are now going to be on the clock after a trade with the Browns. The Hawks are 32. We're moving fast, man. We are through pick number 8 right here on 93.3 KJR FM. All right, there you go. Spencer Fano, the first offensive lineman tackle from Utah, goes to the Browns at number 9 with the pick they got from the Chiefs. Kyle Whittingham, no longer at Utah, by the way, but he's got a draft pick in Spencer Fano in the top 10 here.
Yeah, and both the Utah tackles are projected to go very high, and usually it's a left tackle that goes first overall. This was a right tackle with relatively short arms. In fact, the third percentile. He's got 32.5. That is third percentile, but 6'6", 311. This is a class of offensive tackles. There's a lot of big dudes who can really move. At 6'6", 311, he ran a 4.9, 140. That's 96th percentile of offensive tackles in the last few decades at the Combine. Outland Trophy winner as the best offensive lineman in college football. Now, he is an elite mover. And in terms of his run blocking, but those outliers with the size, this was a tackle group that's relatively deep, but no real star at the top.
Yeah.
In that sense, it's somewhat like the defensive end alignment too.
I think I'm going to say something I've never said on draft day ever. I think the Browns won the first 10 picks of the draft because they got 2 extra picks, and really, do we know there's any difference between the 6th and the 9th pick? I mean, they got the best tackle in the draft, consensus best tackle in the draft, and they got 2 extra picks. I think it's well done by the Browns.
Yeah, you can say for sure unless they wanted another position. But if they wanted an offensive lineman,
right,
they had everybody available to them.
Right.
Yep.
Right. And so we know, it's like when Seattle tells you that Devin Witherspoon was the number 1 DB on the board and Jackson Smith and Jigma was the number 1 wide receiver on the board,
they got proof.
You believe them because they're all on the board.
That's right.
Right.
Well, let me just tell you this. We are moving so fast, by the way, that we did not get the Giants pick at number 10. It's already in, and we have back-to-back offensive linemen. Francis Maui-Ngoa, that's how you say his name, Dick,
yeah.
out of Miami, just went to the Giants at number 10. So you wonder, again, they had their pick. The Browns did of offensive linemen. Did they get the right guy? Well, the Giants just took the other guy at number 10, Hugh. The Giants just took Francis Maui-Ngoa.
Oh, okay, all right, okay, all right.
Yes.
Yeah,
It is going fast.
Yes.
Yeah, they're going fast. Yeah, now that's another right tackle with short arms, 33 1/4, 19th percentile. But 42 straight starts. He's a young man, isn't he? Is he 21 or barely 21?
Yes, right. And he had 2 brothers that played at Wazoo, by the way, both of them. So there you go.
Yeah,
whatever that means.
Yeah, I think that there's a similarity to Penei Sewell, coached by Mario Cristobal, and obviously the Island connection, and started as a young guy. Started as a freshman. He's got 42 straight starts. If there's any questions about it, you got some arm length limitations that we said. Sometimes he gets overextended and on the ground a little bit too much, and there may be some question as to whether or not he ever is brought down inside to play guard, but he doesn't have the length to play a blindside tackle. He's a right tackle at Miami, but well coached, and and Mario Cristobal has another top 10 tackle. Pauly tackle that he coached.
Well, that's the pick that the Giants got. It's funny. I'm sitting looking here at my draft order.
Yeah.
I'm asking Jackson, who are the Bengals taking? He's like, what are you talking about? This had not been updated to reflect the Dexter Lawrence trade. My sheet here, so I was losing my mind. So the Giants took the Bengals pick at 10 in the Dexter Lawrence trade. He's now a Bengal, and now Francis Maui-Ngoa, offensive tackle out of Miami, is now a member of the Giants. We also, by the way, have another move. Everybody's moving up like 1-2 spots. Kansas City moved up 3. Dallas has now moved up 1 spot, and they now own the Dolphins pick at number 11. This is the first of 2 picks so far in this round for them. That could change, obviously. They're going to be up again at 20 with a pick they got from Green Bay in the Micah Parsons deal. Dak Prescott's already in year 11 there. Unbelievable. He's got 2 playoff wins, one against us, Dick. Cowboys finished second in total offense, 7th in scoring, but they were dead last in defense last year. Only team in the NFL to allow more than 30 points a game. Dead last against the pass. You would think that if they're moving up to get a defender.
Yeah, Caleb Downs still there, right?
Yeah.
Reuben Bain's still there. I mean, you got 2 really, really elite players at that position still there, and I think Dallas had their sights on a guy, and right after the Giants basically traded Dexter Lawrence for Francis Mauigoa.
Yeah, well, Miami's getting 2 fifth-rounders, by the way, to drop down 1 spot. So Jerry's got his eye on somebody here, Hugh.
Well, there's been speculation that he'd be going after Caleb Downs. Their pass defense was just awful, and Downs is, but for his size,
right?
This guy, many people think is the best football player in the draft. Has just next level, almost uncanny recognition and intelligence and anticipation, and so any physical limitations he has, he's a high-end processor.
And by the way, he is the biggest faller because Downs closed to be minus 600 to be a top 10 pick.
Right.
He is not a top 10 pick. So he has been the biggest faller in the draft thus far, Caleb Downs.
I can tell you, it's interesting for me, being on this 33rd team. We talked about Caleb Downs and I basically just sat and listened. But all these GMs, former GMs, coaches, a lot of them want to be unanimous, but you know the names if you're a football fan. And talked about Downs forever. And a number of them said, I can go right down the highway and get a guy that's 5'11", 200.
Right.
There's like all throughout Texas high school. You got guys like this, a dime a dozen. Like there is – you just mentioned his fall.
Yep.
You could, because he's an incredible football player, and go ahead.
No, go ahead. Finish that thought. Go ahead.
He's an incredible football player, but the reasons he's not top 10 and why you'd have lost your money in the what Dick said on the bet is because of the size, and that's it. There is nothing else.
Yeah. Jackson, you ready for the Cowboys pick now? All right, well, we're going to find out what Dallas will do here at number 11 in a moment because they have traded with the Dolphins. The Dolphins then will be on the clock at number 12, and their prize for moving back 1 selection was an extra 2 fifth-round draft picks from the Cowboys. So Mendoza, number 1 to the Raiders. David Bailey, edge rusher to the Jets. Julian Love went to Arizona. Cardinal Tate went to the Titans. Arvell Reese to the Giants. Mansour Delane to Kansas City after they did a deal with the Browns to move up to 6. The Commanders took Sonny Styles. New Orleans took Jordan Tyson. Cleveland then took Spencer Fano. Tackle Utah. Giants took Francis Mauigoa. Offensive tackle Miami. Let's find out now why the Cowboys gave up 2 fifth-rounders to move up 1 spot and make a pick at number 11.
With the 11th pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, the Dallas Cowboys select Caleb Downs, defensive back, Ohio State.
Well, there you go. And we talked about why that makes so much sense. Worst pass defense in the NFL. 29th in turnover differential, second to last in passer rating, and now they've got Caleb Downs, safety, in their secondary. Got to figure out the George Pickens thing, right? Rumors he may have signed his tender.
Yep.
Is that right, Dick?
He did. Yep.
We'll see CeeDee Lamb, Jake Ferguson, Javonte Williams, but they needed some help on defense. Real quick, go ahead.
Yeah, real quick. Sees it before it happens. His anticipation is his superpower. He's a true chess piece. Put in the box, the slot, robber, deep half safety, anything. And think about this.
Does he remind you of anybody, by the way?
Yeah, well, I'm going to make a point.
Okay.
You saw the documentary of Jerry Jones going back and thinking about the 90s and the 3 Super Bowls in 4 years. I was on that team. The strong safety was Darren Woodson, who every year has come up for the Hall of Fame, hasn't quite made it. But if Jerry Jones is feeling nostalgic about how championship football looks, they had a really bright safety in Darren Woodson, borderline Hall of Famer,
right?
And that may have been an element that forces them, or
love it,
entices them to move up and make this pick.
All right, so the Dolphins now on the clock at 12 after the trade, followed by the Rams, Baltimore, Tampa, Hawks again sitting there at 32 for now. We're going to break. A lot more to come from the Virginia Mason Athletic Center. Round 1 NFL Draft continues next. Rare Coins. Find out more at BellevueRareCoins.com.
Now back to the 2026 NFL Draft, presented by Frost Brewed Coors Light, cold as the Rockies, and brought to you by Dino's Pub in Renton on Sports Radio 93.3 KJR FM.
All right, we're back at the Virginia Mesa Athletic Center, round one of the NFL Draft. We're going to just go fast here. The Dolphins are now on the clock after a trade with Dallas at number 12. They took 2 fifth-rounders from the Cowboys to drop down one spot. Let's find out what they did with that pick at number 12.
With the 12th pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, the Miami Dolphins select Caden Proctor, tackle, Alabama.
All right, that's 3 of the last 4 picks are tackles. Spencer Fano went to the Browns. Francis Mauangoa went to the Giants at 10. And now Kalen DeBoer's got a first-round offensive lineman, Hugh, and Caden Proctor to the Dolphins. That puts the Rams on the clock at 13. But what do you make of Proctor? Little run on tackles here.
Yeah, the biggest human being I scouted this year, 6'6.5", 352 pounds.
Right.
Over the database, that's the 97th percentile for offensive tackles in weight. Here's a guy that won the SEC Jacobs Blocking Trophy winner. When I watch him, that obviously the power shows up over and over again. But and you look at this pedigree. He was the former number 1 offensive tackle recruit in the country. So this guy was destined for this spot. Played through a torn labrum, so toughness matters here. Concerns: inconsistent hand placement.
Right.
So the technique, I think, can improve. He was only 22nd percentile in his 10-yard split. That's the first 10 yards of his 40. So I think that there's a certain lack of explosion there. You know, he obviously makes up for it with his size, but there's some tightness in his hips when you see him in space trying to locate, second level, third level guys on screens and pin and pulls and trying to get out in space. I think the athleticism just so.
You're leaving out the best part about this pick. He can run and catch as well.
Yeah, Georgia catches a smoke screen in a critical time down in the red zone.
That's right.
How many times? I know they threw it to him a couple of times.
I think he had 5 carries last year. 5 carries for 16 yards. I don't see his catches, but yeah, they Kalen and Ryan Grubb got
that might
busy
have been
with
a lateral
this guy.
on the smoke
It may have
screen,
been. It may have been correct.
Did they get the order right in the offensive tackles? Fano, Mauangoa, and Proctor.
Well, I think that it kind of depends on what you want. I mean, if you wanna like go downhill in the running game and that's more important to you,
that's Proctor.
Then that's Proctor. I think there's some other guys here that are better athletes. I think.
So good news for Devon Achane.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Unless he wants to go somewhere. Let's go to the podium. Rams on the clock now at 13. Oh, my fault. That's a commercial. That's a freaking commercial. It reminds me of the line from A Christmas Story. A crummy commercial?
Crummy
the hell?
commercial?
So, but back to that thought. I mean, the GM of the Dolphins has said that Devon Achane's not going anywhere. They're giving him some help with Caden Proctor. Now, he hasn't signed a contract yet. He's got one more year left.
Correct.
Technically, he's going to be a free agent at the end of this year. They could franchise him and keep him hanging around, but that's the kind of guy that I think a lot of us would have loved the Seahawks to go after, but those days are getting slimmer by the second.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it just looks less and less likely that we're going to get to, doesn't mean we can't trade for a different running back, but that was just the one we had circled.
All right, we're going to wait for the Rams pick here. They're on the clock at number 13. This is the pick the Rams got from Atlanta last year when they gave up number 26 and a third-round comp. So the Falcons, by the way, could move up and draft James Pierce. Remember that? In return, he had a good year last year, really good year. He's in some hot water right now, but the word is he's going to be fine. In return, the Rams got this pick here, plus a second and a seventh last year. I believe we are now going to the podium, Jackson. Roger Goodell with the Rams pick here at number 13.
With the 13th pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, the Los Angeles Rams select Ty Simpson, quarterback, Alabama.
Ty Simpson, quarterback, Alabama, 6'1", 211 pounds.
Simpson from the pistol. Did they go hard count again? No, they're going to snap it. Looking, Ty fires, catch, touchdown!
Simpson spent 4 seasons in Tuscaloosa after a 5-star high school career, but has just one as a starter under his belt in college football. Simpson showed stretches of brilliance in 2025, but it's his lack of consistency and experience that leave questions at the next level. Simpson is the son of a coach and has good mechanics, but doesn't possess superior arm strength. The 23-year-old has good foot speed and can elude pressure, but his smaller frame could make him susceptible to injury.
All right, well, there's one thing that comes to mind with this pick. Matt Stafford's 38 years old and has one more year left in his deal. And you could argue, well, what about getting a quarterback next year? Well, if the Rams have the year they want to have, they'll be picking in the late half of the first round.
Yeah.
May not have access to those guys next season. They only have this pick here because of the trade they got with the Falcons last year, and they just used it on apparently Matt Stafford's heir apparent.
No, look, it's a great pick for him. Personally, I mean, think he gets to go sit behind Stafford. He only had a year starting at Alabama.
Yeah.
And
backing up Milroe, who's now here, obviously.
He's playing in a division with good weather. He's playing at home, good weather. Like if he had gone to the AFC North with his small hands and lack of arm strength, I think that'd be a tough division. So playing in a relatively benign weather. For Sean McVay now. This is the first time I'm shocked, and I understand. Look, 40 years ago, I got drafted. I was the young guy that got drafted in the third round of the Rams, and looking at, I was the only quarterback under 30. This guy comes in a situation where he can, watch Stafford, and yet the concern I have when they had Jared Goff, they traded him. Why? Because they wanted the extra horsepower with the arm of Matthew Stafford.
Right.
And they had a damn I'm stunned. I'm very surprised that Sean McVay has targeted this guy with a limited toolbox.
There's two things that come to mind. Does this say that Stafford's got one more year left and he's going to retire? Has he already told them, I'm giving you one more year and I'm done? Because there were reports that they were working on a deal for Stafford to extend his contract. So does this say that that's not going to happen? And then number two, what was the Rams' biggest problem down the stretch? Corners. They got 2 of them in the trade with McDuffie and Watson. Now they get the heir apparent to Matt Stafford.
This is a great day for Ty Simpson. He couldn't gone to a better place, but I think it's also a great day for the Seahawks because the Rams didn't get better in 2028 with their first round, or 2026 with their first-round draft pick. They may have gotten better down. I don't think it prevents Matthew Stafford from signing another contract. You can sit Ty Simpson for 2 years.
Sure.
But the Seahawks fans should be celebrating right now that the Rams did not get better with their first-round pick for this year, and they got a quarterback that a lot of people think has maybe limited upside. Might be a good quarterback, but might not be a superstar going to your rivals.
That's the part that excites me because I think the Rams did get better over the offseason. They added
Correct. I'm talking about today.
Right, but they are a better football team than they were at the end of the year because of the free agents that they brought in. The question is, do they have enough receivers right now? Tutu Atwell's gone. They'll find somebody, obviously, later in the draft. But I'm with Dick that if you're not really a Ty Simpson guy, hey, if they're planning on eventually, whether in 27 or 28, turning it over to this guy and you're not high on him, then you're doing a dance.
Well, I meant for him. You go watch there was 4 straight games where it's the first time in at least SEC history. Check me on this. It might be NCAA history. I think it might be the history of football that you had 4 straight wins against top 20 teams.
Right.
And so there was a period there where Alabama, after having beaten Georgia and Vanderbilt and whatever the 4 teams were, Georgia on the road, possibly the most impressive win for the first 8-10 weeks of the season in all of college football.
Yeah, they beat
and he
Georgia,
was phenomenal.
Vanderbilt, Missouri, and Tennessee.
Yeah, and he was phenomenal.
Yeah.
And
9 touchdowns, 1 pick in those 4 games.
Oh, yeah. And he's making plays off script. You see him drive the ball in the middle of the field. Then his arm deteriorated. And he's kind of lollipopping. There wasn't the pace to the outside.
Hugh.
Yeah,
let's go to the back to the podium. The Ravens now on the clock at number 14. Go ahead.
With the 14th pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, the Baltimore Ravens select Olayiwola Ioane, guard, Penn State.
Vega Ioane, guard, Penn State. 6'4", 323 pounds.
Here we go. We got a big fella out here. We got an offensive lineman. You go. You got an offensive lineman in motion. Ioane, boom.
They call him Vega for short, but he had a long 4-year career at Penn State as a first-team All-American and first-team All-Big Ten selection. At 6'4", 320, Ioane excels at using his power for drive blocking in both one-on-one or double-team situations. The biggest weakness in his game right now, however, is his lateral quickness as a blocker.
Vega Ioane, Penn State guard. He's from Graham Kapowsin High School, right here in the South End, and he's now a member of the Baltimore Ravens and their brand new head coach, obviously, in Jesse Minter. But quick thought on Ioane going to Baltimore, and then wrap up the Simpson conversation.
Remember Tyler Lindenbaum? He left.
Yes.
In the center, the middle of that offensive line.
He went to the Raiders.
Yeah,
by the way,
yeah,
right.
yeah, and some others. So big need. Here's a guy that is the best pass protecting guard. He has feet like a tackle, and production is 32 starts. Now, even for guards, man, this is a short arm group. 26th percentile in arm length. Below average length limits, but he's more a guy that you could see his pass blocking skill set looks like a tackle.
Right.
But his frame looks like a guard. So great athlete and in a position need for the Ravens.
Wrap up that Simpson conversation real quick. We got to get to a break.
Well,
Ty Simpson
I think
for the Rams.
Whether it's the injuries or the gastro appendicitis, whatever it was that got him down to 195 pounds, he just wasn't as accurate, wasn't as strong throwing the ball. And his frame is relatively unimpressive. Yeah. Not that tall, 6'1" and 1/8.
Right.
Well, we know why he passed up $6.5 million.
Yeah, exactly.
Because he had a guaranteed spot with the Rams. They must have told him.
Yeah. Remember that conversation we had? The hell's he doing? Well, now we know what he's doing.
Now he's doing.
And that was what we all speculated, that he's got to have some kind of a guarantee from somebody that he's going first round.
And by the way, Dave Ioane, Husky commit in 2022 before transferring out.
20th, Ty Simpson, 20th percentile in height, 17th percentile in weight. I compare him to an athletic Kirk Cousins. Now, he was labeled a dual threat coming out of high school. He had enough tape on his Tennessee high school tape playing for his dad with read options and the like that he's considered that level an athlete. And so I think there's some speed and some elusiveness there. I think he's probably better long speed than he is shifty. But I mean, he's a fairly decent athlete. But I don't know. I'm very surprised the profile for a quarterback.
Right.
that Sean McVay seemed, the trade he made, as we said, with Goff and Stafford doesn't fit this pick.
There were reports he was going to get $6 million to come back and play for somebody. Well, last year the 13th pick got $25 million. So again, good for him.
Yeah,
he's going to the Rams. Ty Simpson goes to the Rams at number 13. Bit of a shocker, and then Vega Owane, guard, Penn State, out of Graham Kapowson, just went to Baltimore at 14th. Bucks are on the clock. Get a break, come back with round number 1. Hawks still sitting there at 32, obviously a way to go. But we're going to find out in the next hour and a half or so what the Hawks are up to. Tampa Bay up next on 93.3 KJR FM.
want to land. This guy is more of the potential guy. You know,
Right.
All you want as an athlete and the frame and what have you, but has been hindered. But you see, there's an explosiveness to him. My kid played at Florida and was a teammate of his, and watching the Gators, I mean, you could see, whoa,
yeah,
when he flashes,
if he wasn't hurt last year, if he played a healthy full year, would he have been drafted higher? You think?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, certainly.
All right, well, here's what we're going to do. Dick and I are taking off. We're going to go watch the rest of the draft at Dino's, by the way.
Okay.
You have to stay here. That's your reward.
Not have to. It's my.
You have to stay.
It's a labor of love.
We get to go.
I get Ian.
Ian Furness.
Unfortunately,
professional.
You guys have to go.
Yeah.
You
I
get to stay.
I got you.
Well, you know what? If that's the way you look at it, that's fine. Rob Rang will join you as well. We're through pick number 18. The Hawks, again, are 14 picks away at number 32 in the next hour and a half or so. Keep it right here. Big thanks to Travis and Jackson back in the studio as well. Be back tomorrow for rounds 2 and 3. But Ian Furness, Rob Rang, Hugh Millen will take you the rest of the way for round 1 right here on 93.3 KJR FM.
you do trade out, you don't want to trade down too far, because I think that this draft, as we talked about, it has a lot of quality starters, doesn't have many superstars, and I think if you trade down too far, then you're going to even lose that starter talent.
All right, 49ers 27, so we're a few picks away from them. Here, let me go back for people just joining us right now. Jeremiah Love goes number 3 overall, the running back out of Notre Dame.
Yeah.
He goes to Arizona. Again, you'll have to deal with him in this division, and they still have quarterback issues and questions there at Arizona, but they get a stud in Jeremiah Love.
Yeah, I think that he's a once every 3, 4, 5 year running back. I think he checks all the boxes that you want checked. He has the explosiveness. He has the vision. I think he has the lateral quickness, the ability to sidestep, elite character in the locker room, and competitiveness and football matters component to him. Catches the ball. He was the Doak Walker Award winner, so he's got a route tree. I just don't see a player with any significant flaws in this respect. He reminds me of Bijan Robinson. Just an ability. Now, he probably doesn't have quite the lateral shiftiness of Bijan Robinson, but I think he might have more explosion and vertical. Just that he's got that extra 6th, 7th gear. So I love the player. If I'm a Cardinal fan, I'm delighted. I think they've got a marketing issue. It's a 4-sport town, or no, they don't have hockey anymore, do they? But
No.
But they got a lot of things going on there with A-State and whatever, and so they kind of get lost in the wash. I think they need to generate some enthusiasm. Not that you make a pick for that, but that's going to be a side component to it.
You need to create excitement there. There's no doubt. I mean, there's a business element to it. I mean, I've covered a zillion games down there, and it never has felt like a home game for the Cardinals.
No,
it's very much like the Chargers play. To a certain extent, the Rams, although that's getting a little bit better.
Yeah.
But the Chargers and the Cardinals don't play a lot of home games. They play a lot of neutral site games. So yeah, you want to create some excitement. All right, is there another surprise for you so far in the first round besides the Ty Simpson?
Well, I'm so stunned by that. I love that Jordan Tyson.
Mm-hmm.
Went to number 8 because I think the tape absolutely supports that.
Okay.
I think it's interesting that the medicals.
He's a wide receiver that's been hurt from Arizona State. He went to the Saints.
Yeah. He was my favorite player coming in the draft, just in terms of watching the tape.
Yeah.
And the body control from him. So I thought. There's some question about the medicals sliding down. I even had a conversation with John Schneider about him last night, and not in any great detail, but the medicals were a legit concern, and so that's the one maybe that surprised me in a good way.
All right, the Cowboys are on the clock. Let's I think head back to the podium, and
this round number 1.
Here's Roger Goodell
with the 23rd pick in the 2026 NFL Draft. The Dallas Cowboys select Malachi Lawrence, defensive end, University of Central Florida.
All right, Malachi Lawrence, the edge from University of Central Florida, goes. Rob, we talked about him, I think, just last week, right?
We did. I mean, he's one of the most explosive pass rushers in this draft class, Ian. I mean, he is his ability to get upfield is right there with like the Arvell Reese and and the David Baileys of this class. He just doesn't have their bend. Some guys are just kind of high cut and they aren't able to dip their shoulders and turn the corner really well. I've used the comparison to some guys, it's like almost like they're on a street bike, the way that they can kind of race around the corner. I just don't see that with Malachi Lawrence. But in terms of his upfield burst, his physicality at the point of attack, he will play the run. I think that this is an interesting player for the Cowboys, considering the fact that they've made some big moves. Of course, they made the trade, earlier for the Quinnen Williams, the big defensive tackle. They made the trade for Rashawn Gary from the Green Bay Packers. They've got some guys up front now that I think are going to be able to create some pressure. And of course, they just made the selection earlier of Caleb Downs, my favorite player in this class. And so I do think that they're going to be able to get pressure on quarterbacks. We got some young quarterbacks in the NFC East, and that potentially intentionally put the ball up in the air to improve a pass defense that was atrocious a year ago.
You kind of keep an eye on the teams in the NFC, certainly, especially a team like Dallas. It always seems to be a threat, even if they don't make the playoffs last year. By the way, Browns, Bears, Bills, and 49ers are the next 4 picks. Bears, of course, a playoff team last year. Bills, a playoff team. And the 49ers, we know what kind of problems they pose for everybody as well. Go ahead.
Yeah, and one of the questions about Malachi Lawrence, okay, he's got the 4.52, 95th percentile, 40-inch vert. That just speaks to his explosive 96th percentile. The question, of course, at UCF, you're a drop down. You're not a Power 4 school, but think about the Cowboys.
Are they Big 12 now? Right? Do I miss it?
I don't even know, to be honest. I think
Southern
so.
Florida. Yeah.
Anyway.
Are they Big 12 now?
Let me fact check that. That.
Yeah, I don't know. The Big 12 they've watered them. So they got Cincinnati, they got BYU. I mean, they've got.
You can make an argument that that's not a Power 4 anymore either.
Well, the Big 12 is in an event. Okay, how about this? They're not the SEC.
Yeah.
But my point was DeMarcus Lawrence went to Boise State, so one of their premier players. So they're in the 12. Millen, get your head in the game.
Listen, no. Here's the thing. Listen, it's math. Big 12. There's 25 teams in it. It's almost as many as the Big 10.
I know. Well, okay.
I've thought the same thing.
Yeah.
I've thought the same thing.
Yeah.
Like I mean, is it really a Power 4 conference when you got UCF?
Houston's in there too, right?
Yeah,
like there's been a lot of schools that were formerly not Power that are now, right?
I know a school that used to be a Power.
All right.
Yeah,
Thank you for the correction, though.
No, my apologies. I don't like to do that on the air, but I don't
Actually, you know what? I love it when you do that because I'd rather get the damn broadcast right.
I'm not right off.
Okay,
trust
but
me.
so all right. So they're Big 12, but they're not Georgia. They're not Alabama, right?
No,
and so I think maybe the point about DeMarcus Lawrence
you're not seeing the same level of offensive lines that you would in the SEC or the Big Ten. I think that's a valid point along the way. Rob, let me lean on you for a second. We'll break here in just a couple. Actually, do you want to break now, Jackson?
Go ahead.
Let's do that because everything else. The made-for-TV event is in a television break right now.
Okay.
So
okay,
as we
right.
follow along on the radio, we're going to take a break as well. We'll come back. We're guessing around 7:50-ish or so. We'll know if the Seahawks are trading out or keeping the pick. We will also hear from John Schneider and Pete. I've done that twice this week. Mike McDonald just won a Super Bowl, did he not?
Yeah. Can we get his name right?
It's been a long day.
Can we get our conferences right and our names right?
Someone's been on the air since noon. All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll check in with the next picks and keep an eye on what's going on. I'm going to lean on Rob, too. What might be there at 32 that's too tempting to pass on for the Seahawks? We'll talk about that on 93.3 KJR FM. Right.
But then when they go dime, they drop Devin Witherspoon in to play what's called an overhang defender, apex defender. He's the guy in the slot in the box, depending on the coverage. Now they need a corner, and they had, of course, Reek Woolen. He's gone to Philadelphia on a one-year prove-it deal for $12 million, and so that spot opens up. Right now, if they had to play tomorrow, when they go dime, it's Pritchett. So, how do you feel about Pritchett? And then, as you said, the depth there, right? So they're going. I can't imagine, Rob, they're not getting a corner.
Yeah, exactly. If they don't take one here in the first round, I certainly think that they're going to be making cornerback a priority on day two. In my opinion, regardless of what order they go in, the Seahawks are not leaving this draft without drafting a running back, an edge rusher, and a cornerback. I don't know what order they're going to go in. I think that because the numbers are so good, as we've just talked about with all these corners here, then I would make the argument that maybe you should go with the running back, just because I do feel like it drops off. That has been my point about Jadarian Price. But again, I'm not going to criticize any selection of a cornerback that comes off the board here in these next couple of picks.
All right, let's go to the commissioner. Here he is with the Chicago Bears
With
pick.
the 25th pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, the Chicago Bears select Dylan Thieneman, defensive back, Oregon.
All right, so the Chicago Bears, a really good football team last year, a playoff team. They go with Thieneman, the safety from the University of Oregon.
Yeah, think about how they've upgraded their safety position with Kobe Bryant.
Yep.
You know, $26 million to him. Now they spend a first rounder at another safety. This reflects to me a scheme preference, because this is a true center fielder type of free safety. I mean, his range. This is a guy that has a 41-inch vertical and a 4.3 540 for safeties. That's 97th percentile. So this dude can run and cover ground like nobody's business. He had 247 deep snaps. Indiana Mr. Football. How about that for a factoid? And relatively lean, can bite on play action. But if you need a dude that's just going to be back there playing center field, that can go up and make a play on seam routes, can cover grounds side to side. Everybody says sideline to sideline, red line to red line. If the quarterback's doing his job, he ain't got no safety's getting to the red line. But you can disrupt seams all over from different hash marks, formations, and what have you. So this guy is a premier playmaker in the center hole, Rob.
Yeah, no question about it. I am as high on Caleb Downs as probably as anybody. And I know there's a lot of people out there who question Caleb Downs' lack of elite size, and I mention him because I think that Dylan Thieneman is right there in the conversation with Caleb Downs. I just think that he is among the cleanest players in this draft class. He is instinctive. He has that sideline speed, as you said. I mean, he came in. People said, "Oh, he's a smart guy. He's not an athlete." And then he runs in the 4.3s. I watched it. I went to the University of Oregon Pro Day, and he knew that he didn't have to do a damn thing just because of what he had shown in Indianapolis. And his tape speaks for itself. He not only was a star this past year for Oregon, of course. A lot of Pacific Northwest fans know what he did for Oregon. But previously at Purdue, he led the Big Ten in interceptions as a true freshman. This guy is a stud. The Chicago Bears got themselves a steal here at number 25 overall. I think that, again, he should have been taken off the board 10 picks earlier.
Guy leading the Big Ten interceptions at Purdue with a team that probably no one had to throw against. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, right.
In all seriousness, like there weren't. It's not like people were airing it out because they haven't come from behind against that team. So that's probably good. I'd be more impressed. I used to think I'd be more impressed with the Mr. Basketball from Indiana as opposed to Mr. Football.
Yeah.
That might have changed this past year.
I think all of our impressions about Indiana have changed a lot.
It looks like we've got a trade that took place. The Texans were on the clock. The Texans are on the clock. They traded up, and so we'll get that pick in just a couple of seconds. They're going to pick at 26, and then and it looks like our friends the 49ers have also traded down. They are no longer on the 27th pick. The Dolphins are now 27. 49ers moved down to number 30. So now we have a team that has moved down, Hugh, and Rob in the at the lower half of the draft, lower third of the draft. The 49ers were able to move down a couple spots. I'm not sure what the result is in terms of the trade. We'll try to get that. Maybe Jackson or Jess can find that for us. But the 49ers have probably accumulated more picks. They came in, by the way, with just 6. The 49ers did 6 draft picks, and 4 of those were in the 4th round. So they're probably trying to find some more depth along the way, I would assume, draft-wise as well. And Seattle still sits there at number 32. So the 49ers will pick at 30. They'll pick 2 spots before Seattle. And, again, we've got a couple teams on the clock right now. The Texans on the clock, and we'll get their pick here in just a couple of seconds as well. I do want to, if we have time before the pick is made, let's go back to Jadarian Price, to the running back from the Notre Dame, the second running back.
Yep. I really like Jadarian Price. Again, I understand the hesitancy that some have with Jadarian Price in that if all you do is look at the box scores, I mean, the guy never had more than 15 touches in any game his entire college career. And yet I would say that if you watch the tape, that you will see very instinctive plays. You will the questions about if he is a good pass catcher. Some of that is just because Notre Dame featured a guy in Jeremiah Love who that was like his secret sauce. I mean, he's unbelievable in that way. But Notre Dame clearly trusted Jadarian Price.
Let's get Roger Goodell real quick.
Yep. In the 2026 NFL Draft, the Houston Texans select Keelan Rutledge, guard, Georgia Tech.
All right, so the Texans upgrade their offensive line. Wrap up your thoughts on Price, and I want to have you jump in on Price, the running back from Notre Dame.
Sure. So, again, if you're going to question Jadarian Price as a receiver, and, again, statistically it suggests that he was not very good in that area, then why was he the Irish's kick returner? I mean, you obviously have to trust somebody's hands if they are going to be a kick returner. Speaking of kick returns, he had 3 returns for touchdowns over his college career. He did have some fumbles, and that is my concern with him. It's my concern with Mike Washington Jr. as well. But at the same time, I just see a guy. Look, we've talked before, Ian, about the fact that it seems like Seattle prioritizes players who have stuck with their college program. This guy could have gone, taken an NIL transfer somewhere, and instead he chose to stick with Notre Dame. I've just been very impressed by who he is as a human being, and my kind of digging into his character, and then certainly his tape. I think it's very much worthy of a top 40-ish kind of conversation. And to me, the difference between number 40 and number 32 overall in this draft is completely negligible.
Price.
Well, first thing is 203 pounds at the combine, and so he only had a little over 8 touches per game because he's sharing the load with Jeremiah Love. In fact, he was Robin and Love was Batman, right? Mm-hmm. So there's some concerns when you combine his relatively few touches with the 203 pounds. Now there's durability concerns that come in.
Yep.
As for the hands as a punt, Rob's right. In my opinion, you're not going to put a guy back there that if you don't trust his hands, you're going to trust his judgment. That is different in terms of, okay, you're running option routes out of the backfield or having a feel for the concepts on certain routes by how to set up zone versus man or what have you. So it doesn't necessarily speak to his feel in the passing game. For me, when I evaluate a running back, I'm not going to say obviously blitz pickup is essential. Let me repeat essential. But if a guy has the want to, you can generally teach him the technique. Now maybe he's not going to be if you have explosion through your hips, you're going to be better. But if he has a want to, you can at least get him to be playable. The most important thing to me is watch the end zone copy and see his vision, his acceleration, his lateral quickness, and get a feel. You got to watch a running back for a long time to get a sense of, is he getting yards that are not blocked? Because you could have – tell me the greatest running back of your lifetime. Barry Sanders at age 27. I could show you a tape where Barry Sanders had 10 straight runs and didn't get more than a yard. Like, if it's not blocked, I don't care who you are, you ain't getting the yards, right? And then furthermore, I can show you times where George Solani's going to get him a minimum of 12 yards on that freaking blocking, right? And now maybe Barry Sanders would have housed it, but any running back is getting 12 yards.
Right.
So to me, in looking at Price, I think that his lateral quickness is better than Mike Washington's at Arkansas. And I think you could say maybe his vision's better. There is some advanced metrics, if you're into that kind of thing, that say he has a very disappointing yards over expected when they look at GPS, like where the defenders are and what have you, and it would suggest he was a beneficiary of a really good Notre Dame offensive line. So I would just say, if you have a poor offensive line, I think Price is got a better chance of getting a 3-yard gain than Washington. Okay. Washington might be 0-1. But if the line blocks for a 5-yard gain, Washington can turn a 5-yard gain into a 25-yard gain a lot more than Price can.
All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll come back. We're getting closer to Seattle's pick. The Dolphins are on the clock at 27. Again, Seattle at 32. The 49ers have moved down to number 30, by the way. They moved down 3 spots. They go from 27 to 30. Also, they picked up the 90th pick overall, which my math tells me would be 3rd round, correct? Yes. Yep. 32 teams times 3. Thank you very much. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back with more draft coverage from the Virginia Mason Athletics Center, 93.3 KJR FM. the cornerback out of San Diego State. He goes 27th overall, Hugh, to the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, I think that there's a little bit of disappointment in
just
the
down the hall from us.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that was. I'm not saying that they would have taken him. I don't know, but here was a guy that at San Diego State. I mean, just a beautiful transition in his movements. He was a guy that had a 16.1 passer rating allowed. That's best in the class. He had 2 pick sixes. He He plays the ball like a receiver. I think there's a fluidity to him. He has good, not great size. Got a narrow frame, but I think that his body movements, Rob, and his ability to play the ball were, and his durability, his production were all. The only question you'd have is him playing in the Mountain West Conference, right? But Deron Bland, L'Jarius Sneed. I mean, there's corners from that conference, just like all positions from that conference, and he won't be a Seahawk.
Yeah, unfortunately, he won't. And this is. We talked before about the fact that I am a proud scout for the BC Lions, and among my responsibilities is the Mountain West Conference, or whatever the shambles of college football now.
Yeah. Who's in the Big 12? Let's do that.
Yeah,
let's do
exactly.
That quiz again.
Yeah, same with the Mountain West.
Yeah.
But if you are going to play at a so-called lower level of football, then dominate it. And that's exactly what this guy did. He was the Mountain West Defensive Player of the Year. He had a couple of interceptions this season. Two of them, I think he had 4 interceptions this season, 2 of them which he took back to the house for touchdowns. He is just, as you said, Hugh, he is just so smooth in coverage. I mean, he's a smooth athlete, and then he's also a very instinctive player. I did not go to Mobile, Alabama this year for the Senior Bowl, which kind of broke my heart. The last 24 years I've gone there. But from what I hear, Chris Johnson was good, not elite there, and that's the only reason I think that he was available at this point in the draft. All the talk about him going to Seattle, I just thought that it was unlikely that he would get all the way down to number 32 because I just thought the tape was just too good. When he ran a 4.40 at the Combine, I just thought, well, sayonara. But a really good player that I think is one of the best picks so far of this draft.
Glad he didn't go to the 49ers. That's all I know. All right,
Sure.
Let's go. They've got all kinds of stuff going on in New England, but they actually are going to make a pick. And let's get to that right now, number 28 overall with the Patriots.
With the 28th pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, the New England Patriots select Caleb Lomu, tackle, Utah.
Caleb Lomu, offensive tackle, Utah. 6'6", 308 pounds.
Dampier keeps it, cuts back middle, Dampier, touchdown! They never got him to the ground.
Lomu was Utah's starting left tackle for the last 2 seasons. In 2025, Lomu was named first team All Big 12 and did not allow a sack in 357 pass blocking opportunities. According to Pro Football Focus, Lomu's pass blocking is considered ahead of his run blocking at this stage, especially when it comes to the power run game, but it still has plenty of room for improvement.
All right, that was a trade, by the way, because obviously the Patriots would have been picking at 31.
Right.
Last I checked, the Seahawks beat them in the Super Bowl, so they did move up there along the way, and the Bills now have that pick. That was also a trade, so the Bills have the 31st pick. Chiefs are next up at 29, then the 49ers, and then we're going to break, and we'll just keep it here after that 49er pick, and we'll take a quick break after that pick, and we'll keep it here because then we'll see what happens with Seattle and keep an eye on that. And then at some point, wait for it, John Schneider and Mike McDonald will be in this room, and we'll hear from them as well. But guys, we're getting closer and closer, and you got to think just down the hall, the phone lines are burning up with John Schneider right now, trying to move out of that 32 spot.
Yeah. I thought we were going to break.
No, in a second. Yeah.
There's been a lot of movement
at the
here.
bottom third, right?
Yeah,
a lot right now.
I'm like, wait a minute. You got the Texans. They were at 28, right? The 49ers were at 27. The Bills were at 26 going into this, right?
By the way,
Chiefs had been 29.
49ers are no longer at 30. They have traded out of the first round. The Jets are now on the clock. The pick is in for the Chiefs. We haven't got that yet, but the Jets are on the clock at 30. I don't know if that's good or bad, Rob, if like all these 28, 27, 30, all these picks being moved around, and the 49ers have just moved all the way out of the first round with two trades here just a moment ago.
The greatest draft ever in many people's opinions, the 1986 49er draft. You say, wait, why are you taking us back 40 years? But Walsh was the mastermind of this. They kept trading back and back and back, and they ended up getting, oh my gosh, somebody please help me, 1986 49ers.
Well,
you can pull
keep
this
talking
up.
and we'll find
so
it. Yeah.
So they got Tom Rathman in the third round. Mm-hmm. They get, I believe, Charles Haley in the fourth round, a Hall of Famer. Mm-hmm. They get two starting corners.
What year are we talking, Hugh?
1986 49er draft.
All right, I got it for you.
Multiple trade backs.
Larry Roberts, Tom Rathman, Tim McKyer, John
Stop right
Taylor.
there. So Tim McKyer is starting. These are our Super Bowl. Okay.
Yeah.
So Rathman's a borderline Hall of Fame fullback.
Yeah.
Starting corner. Keep going.
Tim McKyer.
Tim McKyer starting corner.
John Taylor.
John Taylor, the wide receiver, right off of Rice.
Hall of Famer Charles Haley.
4th round, Charles Haley.
Steve Wallace, 4th round.
Yeah, starting offensive tackle in the Super Bowl.
Kevin Fagan, 4th round.
Defensive tackle starting in the Super Bowl.
Pat Miller, 5th round.
No, didn't play.
Don Griffin, actually
starting corner. Starting corner. I mean, so. Now that you're talking about the best of all time.
Yeah.
But the idea of keep trading back, picking up picks, and being really efficient in the middle rounds, it's the makeup of the best of all time.
All right, let's get do we have the Chiefs pick, Jackson? Are we ready with that one?
We're too late.
All right, we're too late. Peter Woods, Clemson, defensive tackle, goes to the Kansas City Chiefs. So
when is the last time I can answer this? I have a spreadsheet. The last time is it?
Wait,
never heard that before.
You have a spreadsheet?
A defensive tackle. Is he the first defensive tackle off the board?
No, Caleb Banks earlier in Minnesota.
Okay,
but
yeah.
But still, to your point though, I think you were going to say last time somebody traded up to get a defensive tackle.
No, but just
often.
but we've hardly had any defensive tackles off the. I mean, there's sometimes where we're into the 7th defensive tackle by now.
Yeah. So exactly. All right. So as mentioned, the Jets are on the clock. They traded with San Francisco. We'll get the basics on that. Let's do this, Jackson. Let's get this break out of the way because the Jets at 30 are on the clock. Seattle 2 picks away, and we could have some activity. Don't go anywhere. Seahawks are getting close to either trading or picking. We'll do that coming up next. 93.3 KJR FM.
might have been, late teens.
Yep. All right. So
in a draft that doesn't have this kind of depth.
All right. So the Seahawks are officially on the clock, and we're waiting to see what happens with that pick. Do you take the running back? Do you take a cornerback? Rob, give me two guys right now if you make this pick.
So we talked about Jadarian Price a lot. Colton Hood, the Tennessee corner, to me would be the other one I'd really strongly consider.
He took a visit to Renton.
He did, and he's a good player. The problem I have with Colton Hood, this is the only problem I have with Colton Hood, he bounced around a little bit. I mean, he was originally at Auburn, then he went to Colorado for a year, and then he went to Tennessee.
Yeah.
If you dig deeper, then the reason why he went to Auburn is because his brother, his father, his uncle all played at Auburn.
Yeah.
He transferred to Colorado because his brother wanted to play there, and of course, they got a certain head coach there, knows a little bit about playing corner, and then he transferred to Tennessee. Just because again, it was what an opportunity it was. They thought that he was going to be playing alongside Jermon McCoy, is going to give Tennessee a real chance at national championship. The only year that he was a starter, however, was this past season. But he was a star.
Yeah. Brandon Cisse would be another. Yep. He was a guy that had a visit. Avion Terrell.
Avion Terrell. Yep.
By the way,
we're focused on corners.
Every indication, by the way, is that Seattle's going to use this pick because they're on the clock. And in addition to that, the Seahawks official PR account just did tweet out to say we're on the clock. That normally doesn't happen if they're making a move. They're, as John Schneider pointed out to us in the media on Monday, they're about 2 minutes ahead of everything that we see. So we're kind of waiting to see what happens here. So the Seahawks, here's the thing. I think there would be disappointment in that room down the hall if they didn't move back. And I think if they don't move back, guys, probably a big reason is all the movement in the 5 picks ahead of them. Like all that movement, a lot of the 49ers were able to trade all the way out of the first round. The Bills made all kinds of moves. All those teams doing that. So Seahawks, again, are on the clock. The clock is ticking, so we'll kind of see what happens.
Zion Young, Mike McDonald loves defensive ends who can hold the edge. This guy, in terms of a first and second down guy.
The Seahawks have made a pick. We don't know who it is yet, but they have made a pick.
Okay.
They have made a pick. So they are going to – we're going to get a Seahawk announcement here.
Yeah, so, I mean there's – it could be – I would say this. It's going to be one of 4 positions. That's not really going. Again, offense. You got running back and offensive guard. On the defense, edge or a corner.
Okay.
I think if it's anything other than that, then it would surprise me. But
okay.
In John we trust, right?
Yeah. I mean, listen. I'll just go back. Well, I'm sure they won't say this publicly.
Yeah.
But when he comes out Monday and says we want to move back.
Yeah.
There's no doubt.
Okay. So.
Can I go ahead and spoil it?
Please. Oh,
sure.
Okay.
You tell me.
Yeah, it gives you guys a chance to react to. We'll get the official pick, and you'll hear the commissioner, Jadarian Price. According to multiple sources, Jadarian Price is going to be a Seattle Seahawk.
Okay.
Interesting.
Well, it's a halfback from Notre Dame, and here's a guy. Now, he lost some close to 10 pounds prior to the combine, and he thought they was in the 210 range. But 5'11", 203, has 6 yards per carry, 11 touchdowns. So he did a hell of a job. I think that might have been more than Love getting in the end zone. In watching the tape with him, I think he has outstanding lateral ability, vision. I don't think he has the elite top end to hit the home run, but so I think he's quicker than he is fast. There's a physicality that's lacking with him, but in terms of a natural athletic runner with instincts, that's your guy.
While we wait for the commissioner to make the pick officially, and we'll hear in a second, again, Jadarian Price is going to be a Seattle Seahawk according to numerous reports right now with the 32nd pick. Hugh, you first, Rob, you second, and we'll wait for the commissioner, and I'll tell you when I got to cut you off. Jadarian Price steps into that running back room. Is he running back number 1? And I'm assuming Jack Charbonnet's healthy. He's not going to be healthy at the start. I get that.
He's number 1.
He's number 1.
I'd put him number 1 for first play of minicamp. Number 1. Your first round draft pick. We don't need you to show your teammates that you earned it. You earned it because you're a first round draft pick. You just let him assimilate with.
That aside, is he the best running back in that room?
He's the best running back in the room.
Rob?
Yep. 100% agree. We've been talking about Jadarian Price a lot. I just think, look, I'm going to use a comparison here that is, probably too bold. But to me, I see an awful lot of Terrell Davis, and I see a back that just has vision. I think he has instincts. We talked about this, Ian. We often talk about John Schneider as somebody who zigs and everybody else zags, and I see a back that anticipates where the blocking is going to be, where the defense is going to be, and he makes his sharp cuts. He ran well, 4.49 in the 40-yard dash at the combine. A good time, not an elite time. Certainly not the 4.32 that Kenneth Walker III had. But I just see a guy who plays fast, and obviously that's the point. We talked about before with the hands out of the backfield. I just think that is an untapped resource there that just was a little bit hidden because he was playing behind Jeremiah Love. And, that's the thing. You made the point about Zach Charbonnet, and whether it be Zach Charbonnet, whether it be George Halani or whoever.
Hang on 1 second. We'll get to him in a second. So we want to make sure we get this on the air to make it official and put the bow on it, people. Roger Goodell making his way up as the Seahawks pick will be announced, number 32 overall, but we do know it's Jadarian Price. Jadarian Price, the running back out of Notre Dame, will come to Seattle, and as you and Rob mentioned, steps in as the number 1 running back for Seattle to replace Ken Walker for the Super Bowl champions. Let's go to the commissioner, Roger Goodell, heading up to the podium for the last pick of the first round, day 1 of the 2026 NFL Draft for the Super Bowl champion Seattle Seahawks.
To announce the final pick of round 1 of this year's draft.
As we conclude round 1 of the 2026 NFL Draft, we're proud to continue recognizing our long-standing partnership with Make-A-Wish this World Wish Month. I'm thrilled to be joined by Dylan, a huge fan of the Super Bowl champion Seattle Seahawks, who bravely battled a brain tumor and is now a 2-time cancer survivor. Woo. This is a wish come true for Dylan and a chance to take part in one of the most exciting moments in our league. Dylan, when you're ready, stage is yours.
What's going on, Pittsburgh? Yeah! I'm so excited to be here to represent the 12s. Oh, and the reigning Super Bowl champion Seattle Seahawks! And with that, with the 32nd pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, the Seattle Seahawks select Jadarian Price, Notre Dame, running back.
Oh.
There you go. It's Jadarian Price, the running back out of Notre Dame. Well done, Dylan. You know what? Well done, Dylan. Make-A-Wish, 2-time cancer survivor, rolling into Pittsburgh, Steel City. Did you guys know Jerome Bettis is from Detroit, by the way, even though he made a pick for the Steelers today? Rolling in there and making the pick, Jadarian Price of the Seattle Seahawks. And I'm going to produce on the air, Jackson, when you have a profile ready, we can get to that for Jadarian Price. In the meantime, again, let's reiterate. Now Seattle loses Ken Walker. They gain Jadarian Price. Hugh, fire away.
Well, one of the things Seattle with the outside zone scheme, he ran that by about a 1.5 to 1 ratio of zone scheme over gap scheme, particularly the wide zone. So I think that they like his feel for stretching that. You mentioned Terrell Davis, the architect of or the kind of ground zero for the outside zone, and having been there, the what you tell a running back is you're going to make your decision on the read the end block if it's hooked, or whether or not you can't hook him. Make your decision by your 3rd step. You make your cut by your 5th step. Take 1 cut. This is something that he did a lot of. When you look at him in college, he tore Achilles heel as a freshman, so he's coming back off of that. He has, there's a lot of fresh legs in here. He only had 113 carries in 2025. He's got the patience, as we said, but he has the explosion. Now, when you look at his measurables, he at 203 pounds, he is what's the percentile there? I'll get that, but it's going to be very low. His 40 time 4.49 is a 68th percentile. Rob, the 10-yard split at 1.661. That's only the 28th percentile.
Yep.
So while we're talking about a burst, if you're 203, he did not help himself at the combine.
Yep.
Like the tape shows better than his measurables.
It does. It's look, he's not a guy who's going to wow you in terms of just his pure athletic ability, which is kind of like what we talked about a little bit with comparison. Pretty audacious comparison here to a Hall of Famer. At the same time, again, I just see a guy who's as instinctive as any running back in this class, including Jeremiah Love. And I think that, the personality, I think, is important to mention here. When you back up a player like Jeremiah Love, you're not going to get that many opportunities. So when you do get your opportunities, you have got to splash. And obviously he did. I mean, he was a very productive player. I mean, his efficiency rate in terms of creating big plays and creating touchdown opportunities, special teams. It's funny, we talked before about some of the great venues in football, whether it be, going to Virginia Tech and Enter Sandman, or Pittsburgh and Styx, and all that. To me, one of the great rivalries has always been Notre Dame USC. And that was a hell of a game. And Jadarian Price took back 2 kicks for touchdowns, 2 punts, I believe there were, for touchdowns in that game.
His return element is there.
Yeah. And so I just, the playmaking ability, when you have an opportunity and you step up, I think that makes a lot of sense for the defending Super Bowl champions. And you have the ability, and so many running backs, as you know, Hugh, so many running backs think that their stuff doesn't stink, that they are the guy. If you have a back who is used to being part of a rotation and you come into Seattle where it is going to be a rotation, he's not going to be, I agree with you 100%. He's running back 1 right now. But I also think that ideally Seattle is going to use a running back by rotation, and I don't think a lot of running backs are going to be willing to do that.
You mentioned the SC game. There was a rep in there. It was a zone left, and he came up the field, and the safety came out of the hole for USC and just smacked him. And he went down really easy. And then the SC had a chance to kind of woof on top of him and what have you, and I didn't like that rep because I think there's a physicality, what we said with Marshawn Lynch, he closes the circle of physicality for the football team. And so, this is a marked departure from that.
Yeah.
There's things that you love about his game, the instincts on the wide zone, the quickness, the vision, God put him on the planet to be a running back.
Yeah.
Right. And I think he can be a contributor in the passing game. But that physicality, and then so I think the physicality is in question. I think the home run, the real long speed, that you could have had with Mike Washington or that Jeremiah Love has. I think that he's just kind of what I say his percentile was
68.
In the 40-yard dash.
But it's the other one that kind of concerned both of you guys, right?
The 28th percentile in the first 10.
1.6110.
Yeah, 1.6.
Put that in context for me.
Well, DK Metcalf had a 1.45. Now, you say there's 1,000 guys between 1.4 and 5.
Sure.
Metcalf is the fastest of all time.
What do you want to see
player.
from running back there?
Well, I'll get you exactly what the median is on there, but you'd like to see in the low 1.5s.
Okay, that's what I'm looking for. Yeah. I think for a fan sitting at home going, okay.
Well, and generally think of this: 1/10 of a second is a yard. So if he's racing,
good way to look
and
at
the first 10 yards, if he's racing and you say stop, like a photo finish, he's going to be a yard behind other running backs after only 10 yards. So now that doesn't mean he plays that at that speed.
Does he look different on tape?
He does. That's the thing is, in my opinion, again, this is the player I thought the Seattle's going to take. I mean, we've talked about this guy for months. I mean, I had him as the perfect fit on a Fox mock draft a month ago. I had him as the final selection at Seahawks.com, and my final selection on Fox.com. So I've been pretty consistent. I thought this was going to be the guy, and that's no inside information. I just thought that he was a perfect fit for their system. What I would say is that I know there's a lot of NFL teams, and I've not spoken specifically with the Seahawks about this, but I know there's a lot of teams that are no longer looking at 40-yard dash times at the combine. They're looking at Zebra technology, which is basically GPS technology of how fast players actually play, and in that regard, he tested well. I don't have the exact numbers off the top of my head, but I know that he...
You want to be over 21 miles an hour.
Yeah. So, I think that... his speed on the field is much more impressive than his speed in workouts.
Well, Jadarian Price is calling in. I'm thinking we're having some technical issues with our microphone up there. I do believe we'll wait and see. If not, Jackson, we're going to get our break in here. We'll roll on it and play it back here in just a couple seconds. So, what'd you call it? Zebra technology?
Zebra technology.
Right. I think I'd like to get that for our microphone up front here. So let's see if it works here in a second. They're waiting for him to call in. It's funny, of all these years, this is still our technology, a speakerphone up front. What about Zoom? Can we do Zoom?
Exactly.
All on the way. So we're waiting to hear. We'll be able to hear the Jackson. If we don't hear it, then we'll take a quick break. We'll come back. We should point out with the pick being made, they don't move out of the first round. They still now have just 3 picks left. Number 96 or number, 64 overall tomorrow and 96 overall tomorrow, so a second and third round pick tomorrow. So, do they use draft capital in the next year to accumulate some picks on day 3? Do they move one of those picks tomorrow to accumulate some? Because I just can't fathom one pick on day 3, a 6th round pick for John Schneider.
Yeah, unless he truly is looking to kind of punt from this draft. If the Seahawks believe that this is just not a very good class, then let's face it. Hugh made a great point about there are times where you have a wonderful draft of middle round selection. Seattle has done that before, but I also think that there is a possibility that that there's going to be difficult for very many rookies in this particular class, which I admit is a little bit weaker than most, to fit on the roster that is, of course, the Super Bowl champions. There's just not that many holes. So as long as you check the box of a running back, an edge rusher, and a cornerback, then I think you're feeling pretty darn good about this draft.
Just as we wait for Price to call in, and again, hopefully we'll hear him in a second, Rob, what do you make of the San Francisco 49ers trading all the way out of the first round? I mean, to me, they without making a pick, they won the first round in the NFC West.
Well, in terms of quantity and the number of picks they're going to have, sure. But I also think that similar to the Los Angeles Rams, and why I was kind of just floored by their selection of, the quarterback, Ty Simpson, I thought there was opportunity here for the Rams and for the 49ers to, close the gap a little bit with the Seahawks. I mean, certainly with the Rams at number 13 overall, but the 49ers as well. There's some still, at least in my opinion, some players who can have an immediate impact. You can make the argument, in fact, I am making the argument that as far as the Rams and the 49ers, the 2 other best teams in the NFC West, the Seahawks are going to get a rookie who is going to make the most immediate impact, at least at this point, because Ty Simpson is going to make much of a rookie impact, unless Matthew Stafford, of course, is, unable or doesn't want to play next year for the Rams. And the 49ers, as you just said, Ian, are traded out. So, the Arizona Cardinals are going to make, have some impact from their rookies this year, but they have a lot farther to go to get into the Seahawks level of play. So I thought this was, planning ahead for John Lynch and the 49ers, planning ahead for Les Snead, general managers, of course, for the Los Angeles Rams. But I think that Sean McVay as head coach and that Kyle Shanahan as head coach of the Rams and 49ers respectively have got to be like, what the heck? This is our chance to compete right now. And they didn't get that.
Well, listen, Seattle, just in terms of a roster, Seattle got better. They added running back 1.
Yep.
Arizona got better. They added the other running back 1 out of Notre Dame. Arizona helped themselves now. Arizona's got a long way to go to catch up to Seattle and the Rams and the 49ers, for example. the Rams, if you're just joining us, taking Ty Simpson at 13, just again is a mind-boggling one to me. If we were sitting doing the Rams draft show right now, I think we'd be having a really interesting conversation.
Yeah, exactly. I just think that again, Ty Simpson may wind up becoming the next Drew Brees or something, and I say that just because shorter quarterback, that is his game to me is predicated on his decision making, his accuracy. You're throwing the ball to Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams, you're going to look pretty good. But at the same time, just in terms of the just pure arm talent, the drop-off between your current starter, Matthew Stafford, and Ty Simpson is a fairly significant drop-off here.
And Stafford with the big arm, they want to drive the ball down the field in that offense, don't they? I mean, that's what's kind of an interesting thing, isn't? That was kind of the knock on Goff, I thought, a little bit as well, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's Jared Goff is actually a fairly popular comp for Ty Simpson, except that Jared Goff's 3 inches taller, and so. Look, I'm a Ty Simpson fan. I thought he was going to go 33rd overall rather than 13th. So, but at the same time, I thought that he was clearly QB2 in this draft, and he was QB2. And again, just the weapons and the respect I have for Sean McVay as a play caller, I think that he's going to wind up being a good NFL player. I just think that the Rams had an opportunity here to, again, narrow the gap. I thought that a Mekhi Lemon, a Casey Concepcion especially. I mean, I would say this, Ian, when I think about the Rams and the Seahawks last year, I think about, the impact that Rashid Shaheed made as a return man. And Casey Concepcion, in my opinion, is a very similar player as Rashid Shaheed. I thought that the Rams would take him, have him be the receiver to kind of groom behind Devontae Adams. And, of course, Puka Nacua, you're expecting that they're going to sign a long-term extension with him. But that Casey Concepcion could be the kind of heir apparent at that receiver position, and then certainly as a return man, that he could basically just kind of match what Seattle had with Rashid. He could have been that for the Rams. And then with Ruben Bain, as we talked about, that one, when he fell into their lap, I thought, oh, my goodness, that's the player there that he or Concepcion, both those players make so much sense for the Rams. I would argue that the Rams also could use a linebacker, and I expect that to be one of their decisions, or one of their selections here on day 2. And the Rams have not historically gone with linebackers, but I think that is a significant weakness for their team, and there's linebackers in this class that I think could be an immediate impact player for them.
Yeah, we're so early in the draft, obviously, with so early just in the process with the draft to see what's going on. I would just say I wonder with Price, I'm just going to throw something out there at you, just as we wait for him to call in. And again, if you're just joining us, you're listening to the draft, 2026 NFL Draft on Sports Radio 93.3 KJR FM. The Seahawks have taken Jadarian Price with the 32nd pick. They do not trade out of the first round, so they have 3 picks as of now remaining. But they take Jadarian Price from Notre Dame, the second Notre Dame running back taken. By the way, according to NFL research, Notre Dame, the first school in the common draft era to have each of the first 2 running backs selected in the same NFL draft. So no team's ever had back-to-back running backs, or the first 2 running backs in the draft were both from Notre Dame. That's never happened before at the same school. According to NFL research, Rob Rang doesn't agree with that.
I'm thinking of Auburn, Carnell Williams, and Ronnie Brown.
We'll see.
I'm going to look that up.
You look that up. In fact, check the NFL researcher. I like that. God, if you get that right and they get it wrong, I am going to be – you deserve a raise.
You're buying me a beer at Dino's here in a little bit?
That's 100% what's going to happen. If Price was somewhere else.
Yes, sir.
Power 5 school. Power 4 school, whatever we have these days.
Yeah.
Who's in the Big 12? Anyway, if he was somewhere else and he was the lead back, do you think he goes 32 or do you think he goes higher?
I think he goes higher. And that's the thing. It's like I honestly, I feel a little bit vindicated, because I've been kind of pounding the table for this guy here for a while with the Seahawks. And I obviously, who knows? I am wishing him well. I want him to succeed just because I'm wishing every one of the players that was selected today to succeed. But I do think that if you watch the tape with this guy, not just the highlights, but really watch the tape, I think that you can see how his skill projects well to the NFL. And if all you do is look at the statistics, I mentioned before, he never had a single game in which he had more than 15 touches in a game. So sure, you can make the argument that that he's never been the bell cow, and he has not. But I think that his game, again, projects well to the NFL. I see the instincts. I see burst. I see power. Hugh made a great point. I mean, there's going to be some snaps where he gets knocked on his butt. But I also think that there were some gaping holes that Seattle's much improved offensive line created a year ago. We all kind of talked and joked about how during the Super Bowl, the way that Kenneth Walker III would kind of almost walk to the line of scrimmage, see the hole open, and then explode, right? And that would be that 10-yard dash that Hugh was articulating before, that Jadarian Price just didn't have the numerical, the numbers to suggest that he has that burst. I would disagree. I would say that he doesn't walk up to the line of scrimmage. He hits the hole quickly, and his speed, he throttles up and down better than, again, in my opinion, than any other running back in this class. I've said it before, and I say it again. I think that, for as much talent as Jeremiah Love has, now that we know where he's at, he's going to the Arizona Cardinals, Ian, and the Arizona Cardinals offensive line is not very good. And they've got a quarterback in Jacoby Brissett right now, or perhaps Gardner Minshew, that, again, is not going to scare defenses. I think that Jadarian Price has a very good chance of putting up better numbers as a rookie than Jeremiah Love does as a rookie for the Arizona Cardinals. And so if he does do that, then all this talk about that this was a reach at number 32 overall is going to go out the window. I think he's got a real chance to be Offensive Rookie of the Year in this system, given the talent that's around him in Seattle.
Well, and Charbonnet's not going to be ready to start of the year.
Exactly.
Right? And the drop-off from Zach Charbonnet to everybody else is pretty significant. Like it's a pretty, and if we're being honest, Charbonnet wasn't Ken Walker.
Yeah.
So like the drop off was big. So he's got an opportunity to come in here and make an impact. I would also add, Rob Rang, that Seattle just addressed their biggest need.
Yep.
Like the cornerback position, corner with a C, the cornerback position close.
Yeah.
But your defense is so stout.
Yep.
Right. Your defense is so. You got Job, you got Witherspoon. He was talking about Nehemiah Pritchett earlier. Maybe the guy's going to ready to take that next step along the way. They go big nickel a lot with Eamon Worry anyway. If they go dime, then maybe Pritchett sits in there. They address their biggest need, not just because of the departure of Walker, but also the injury to Charbonnet, the uncertainty surrounding that because it happened so late. It's not like it happened in week 5 of the NFL season. It happened in the playoffs. So all that, they have, this defending Super Bowl champions going into this offseason, would you agree, address their biggest need?
I 100% agree with that. I mean, Ian, it's kind of a silly, analogy, but I've used this analogy in talking to folks before about why I thought this would make a lot of sense for the Seahawks. Imagine yourself, you're walking into, and it sounds like Jadarian Price is here with us.
Let's see if we get him. Otherwise, Jackson, we're going to take a break, my friend. Here we go. You're going to listen to Jadarian Price. Here we go.
I'm doing well, man. Welcome to Seattle. I've got our media here ready to fire off a few questions for you.
All right. Jadarian, how are you feeling?
I'm great.
How much did the Seattle talk to you? I know they were at your pro day in South Bend, but how much inkling did you have this could happen in Seattle?
I mean, you hear a lot of things, and being the person I am, I try not to listen to all the noise and the media and NFL Network and everything, but I knew that Seattle was pretty interested in me, and they knew the type of player I was, what I bring for the program, and I didn't know what exactly was going to happen, but I'm so blessed to be in this position and be picked by the Seattle Seahawks.
What made you believe the Seahawks were interested? What was it about you or your fit or your mesh with them when you talked to them?
Yeah, me and the running back coach, Coach Hammock, we had a couple good conversations, one at the Combine and then one Zoom where we were just talking about 45 minutes, and just straight ball and then getting to know each other, and it just felt like it was going to be a good fit for me.
Jadarian, how would you describe your running style and how it fits in what the Seahawks do offensively?
Yeah, Seahawks, love to run the ball. You see what they did in the Super Bowl and what really got them to that far. Winning it all is, you got to run the ball. And what I can do in the backfield and also protecting the quarterback and catching out of the backfield is phenomenal. But also the stretch game, outside zone, that's my bread and butter. So just being able to make one decisive move and get vertical.
Can you tell us more about your ability to help out in the passing game? It looks like you didn't do that a ton, but obviously you're playing behind Jeremiah Love, who they used a lot in that role.
Yeah, and that was the biggest thing to show Combine and Pro Day was just my ability to catch the ball at the backfield because I didn't show that as much on film. But they saw what I could do. They saw my route running got smoother at the Pro Day. So just, my knowledge about the game and whether it's man zone, stuff like that, I showed what I could do at the Combine and Pro Day as far as passing.
Jadarian, who are you celebrating with?
I'm sorry?
Who are you celebrating with? Who's with you?
Yeah, I'm back home in Denison, Texas, with my family and teammates from high school, coaches, and everyone really.
Just what was it like getting that call and sharing that moment with your family and friends?
It was wild because I was walking around the whole room, and so Seattle was up. I was like, all right, this is the last one. I'm gonna sit down. As I was going to sit down, I get the call, and emotions just hit. I mean, I thought I would be a little bit more calm, but that phone call is a little different. When you get that phone call, and it's just immediate tears and joy. So.
Did Coach Hammock bring up the game against you guys a couple years ago at Notre Dame when you guys talked?
Every time we talked previously to tonight, he's always mentioned it. One thing he joked about, he's like, if I was y'all's coach, I would have handed you the ball more and y'all won the loss. So just hearing him say that was pretty funny, but yeah, he's a good guy.
Jadarian, you weighed 203 at the Combine, it looks like. Was that your playing weight last year? And do you have an idea about where you want to be weight-wise for this upcoming year?
No, my playing weight would fluctuate, 205, 208 range. I was a little low for the Combine. It wasn't planned. It was just, nerves and everything going on. I was not trying to be 203. But I do plan to be 210 playing weight.
Jadarian, what would you say your best attributes are, your best strengths as a running back?
I think my quickness when I get the ball in my hands and my decision making, my ability to get to the second level in such a quick way. So and my versatility on offense, but also what I can bring special teams wise.
Can you tell us about your decision to stay at Notre Dame? I imagine you had offers to go elsewhere. You're playing behind Love. Was there ever any consideration of transferring?
No, I made it. It was in my heart to stay at Notre Dame. It's a place I love, and building a relationship with those guys in the locker room, and what we had done the year before going to the national championship. That's what I wanted to do, and that's why I wanted to stay there. But also made a challenge for myself as well. Split reps with the best player in college football, and I did that, and I showed what I can do at the highest level. And it's sitting here now, and it was a great decision I could have made.
Did you have teams coming after you though?
I did, yeah.
Jadarian, you mentioned having to split carries with Jeremiah. Like, how much did that help bring out the best in you when you were scrapping for reps there, knowing who you were competing against to get those plays on Saturdays?
The biggest thing was, take advantage of every single opportunity, and that's what I've been doing my whole life since I was a kid in Pee Wee. So just take advantage of all my opportunities, and that's what I did. But also just, the guy he is, and reminded me that it's a game at the end of the day. Just go out there and have fun, and I did that.
Your mindset when it comes to finishing, you had 11 touchdowns. Can you talk about that when you're in the red zone? What's your mindset?
Yeah, the mindset is to get the ball across the plane successfully and safely. And if I can be a weapon with the ball in my hands and whatever the coaches want me to do, offense, special teams, anything, that's what I'm gonna do. And I just have a knack for the touchdown. Make that one guy miss and get in the end zone.
It sounds like you watched the Super Bowl. What's it like watching what Ken Walker did in that game and knowing you're coming to that offense and might have a chance to do stuff like that now that you're here in Seattle?
Yeah, exactly what you said. Coming to the right offense, an offense that prides himself and being balanced, running and throwing the ball, but just their emphasis on running the ball first and how important that is. And you see, Ken Walker getting the Super Bowl, MVP, and I think it's important. And I'm glad to be in the situation.
Jadarian, when you say your bread and butter is the outside zone, when you get that rock, are you kind of more hoping that the read takes you on a bounce and you can get to the outside, use your speed, or are you kind of hoping, hey, a cutback, maybe make some guys miss on the cutback? Kind of walk us through kind of your thought process and the way you like to see that develop.
I think there's nothing better than a smooth cutback when the lineman does their job, and all you got to do is make a second level guy miss. Cutback is I think that's the best feeling right there, or a seam through the A gap or something. I think that's the best feeling for sure.
Considering your bond with Jeremiah, like you mentioned, what's it going to be like playing against him twice a year?
I'm sorry?
Considering your bond with Jeremiah, like you just mentioned, what's it going to be like facing him twice a year in the division?
Oh, man. I mean, it's going to be great getting to meet him at the 50-yard line twice a year. Talk about the old times. And like you said, like we got a close bond. We spent the last 3 years together, and just seeing how we achieved our dreams is going to be awesome. I can't wait.
Are you going to check in with Riley Mills to get some tips on Seattle?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I definitely will.
How is your mom, your wife, Jadarian, what she's gone through and how that inspired you?
Yeah, it's inspired me a lot. Specifically, just the idea of going through adversity. I truly believe that in order to grow, you have to go through pain and adversity. And watching my mom go through that, it made me believe like there's nothing that can stop me getting to achieve my dreams. And because she went through the worst, so what's one little bad day or adversity for me? That I can always get through it.
When's the first time in your life you started dreaming about being a first-round pick in the NFL?
Like since the age of 10, I've been watching it since then,
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
All right, there you go. That is Jadarian Price, the newest Seattle Seahawk, picked 32nd overall in the NFL draft. We'll take a break. We're still going to hear from John Schneider and Mike McDonald before we sign off, so stick around. Don't go anywhere. Our draft coverage continues live from the Virginia Mason Athletic Center on Sports Radio 93.3 KJR FM.
to the 2026 NFL Draft, presented by Frost Brewed Coors Light, cold as the Rockies, and brought to you by Dino's Pub in Renton on Sports Radio 93.3 KJR FM.
You hear a lot of things, and being the person I am, I try not to listen to all the noise and the media and NFL Network and everything, but I knew that Seattle was pretty interested in me, and you know, they knew the type of player I was, what I bring for the program, and you know, I didn't know what exactly was going to happen, but I'm so blessed to be in this position and be picked by Seattle Seahawks.
All right, there you go. That is Jadarian Price a moment ago meeting with the media via conference call for the first time. You heard it live right here on 93.3 KJR FM. We're at the Virginia Mason Athletics Center, Seahawk Draft Headquarters, Seahawk Headquarters overall, as we get ready for, yes, indeed, the end and the wrap-up of day one of the NFL Draft. Super Bowl champion Seahawks take Jadarian Price, running back out of Notre Dame. They do not trade out of that first round. We're waiting for John Schneider and Mike McDonald to pop in here. And once they do, we'll head back up to the podium, and we'll get to that in just a couple seconds. For those keeping track at home, yes, we are one PB&J in. Ladies and gentlemen, the legend continues. There are those, Softy at the top of the list, and others that love the legend. Here we go. Mike McDonald, John Schneider heading up to the podium. Let's listen in right now.
Warm it up, Chris. What'd you do? Tough.
Bouncing back. I'll be back before you go.
I knew I hadn't seen you in a minute. Are we just going, or?
You ready?
You guys good? Yeah.
Hit it, Bob.
Yeah.
Oh, you have anything to say?
Super, we're so excited. Are you doing Dave's job, or?
Yeah,
so.
I assume you probably got some calls to try to trade down there, and you obviously was just interested in Jadarian. Just kind of what was the thought process there?
Yeah, great player, great person. We thought we had some opportunities for a minute. They fell apart. There's a lot of trading going on there, right ahead of us. But I mean, he kind of stood alone. I mean, great player. The person's outstanding. The competitor. He's just he's a Seahawk. It's really cool. I mean, we were actually concerned that people were going to go ahead of us because it was it felt like it was just so out there, you know, in terms of like mock drafts and what have you.
You thought somebody was going to jump ahead of you for him.
Mm-hmm.
What about the person? Mason, like you talk about the culture you created. How are you projecting him or doing that culture?
Well, I think it's a testament to our process and like the alignment we have from personnel folks all the way to like Thomas Hammock, the process on the coaching side. I think the great thing that we've done in the 3 years that we've worked together is like, especially in the first round, the guys that we've brought onto our team we're really confident about like the type of people they are and the type of the Seahawk way of doing business around here. So that, in addition to being a great player and being dynamic and our vision for him and our offense, I mean, just can't help but be really excited about it. So I think it's a great fit.
What about him? So if that's a Seahawk, that's the guy.
Well, I think it just comes in different like forms, right? But you learn about the person, about the leadership, the resiliency, the humility. I mean, just the commitment to Notre Dame by staying there.
Yeah, loyalty. Yeah,
loyalty. I mean, it's like family story, all those things. I mean, it's a great, cool story. Someone that you get excited about, you love talking to, and you can envision him, just sticking out here. Like you can feel him in the building and feel like he's one of us. So.
Talked about the fit of the offense.
You guys fighting for airtime?
Talk about the fit of the offense. How do you foresee his skill set meshing with the offense that Ken Walker had some success in for you guys last year?
Well, we're going to run wide zone, and he's going to run wide zone, and then we're going to run some gap scheme. He's going to run some of that too, and then the pass game can come alive too. I think that's a part of our offense in general that we can take another step in, is including our halfbacks in the pass game. So, and then he's a great special team player as well. I mean, the kick return stuff. We'll see how it shakes out in other phases, but he's gonna come in, compete with the rest of the guys, and let's go rock and roll.
John, he's not a starter there at Notre Dame for reasons, obviously.
Yeah.
And only had 3 catches in his college career.
Yeah.
What's the challenge of trying to project some of that, both on the workload front and the receiving front when you're trying to figure out what he can be as a full package for you when you don't necessarily have that in college?
Yeah, great question, but believe it or not, it really wasn't that hard because he could, his pro day was outstanding. You could see the way, I'm very good friends with his agent. His agent went to him, a couple of years ago and was like, hey, you need to, improve in the passing game or whatever. And so he would on his own listen to him. Went and got with his the receivers group and work with those guys, receiver coach too, and yeah, I mean, I just think it's a pretty cool story that these two guys get drafted in the first round too, from the same school, and it was really a story you watched like all fall. I mean, these guys were dynamic. The two of these guys, different runners, but yeah, I feel like, it's actually kind of like talking to you guys about JSN, just like with his high school career in Texas. It was like 5,000 yards and 55 touchdowns.
Yeah, 55.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about your running back?
Because you asked a question.
You both talked about loyalty. Over the past few years, you've been rewarding players that stay at their schools that are transferring. Why is loyalty such an important part of being a Seahawk?
I don't know if we've explicitly talked about it. I think it's just part of the overall picture of the person that we evaluate, and it probably isn't a coincidence that it keeps coming up. So, but I don't know, John.
Yeah, I think that stuff just manifests itself in our competitor scale too. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's a level of there's certain character aspects that you have to conduct yourself in a certain manner to be able to compete at that level too. So, yeah, it's really just part of our whole character score.
That's a better answer.
John, you mentioned that in the first round that the trades that was kind of hard to figure out. So, were you surprised by how many trades were happening over and over in the draft that never was back then?
Yeah, it was weird. I thought we were going back for sure, and then things just went no. So I think everybody must have been hyper focused there with Rutledge, Chris Johnson, Falk. I forget who else right in there. Sorry, it just happened.
Can you guys talk about the role your running back coach played in making this choice?
Yeah, I mean, we're all part of it. Yeah. He did have great Zoom interviews, though. He had a great Zoom interview with.
Yeah, Thomas is a stud. He's a beast. I mean, I think he's just kind of dove in head first with how we operate here, and he's someone that I've leaned on since he's got here in terms of some of the big picture head coaching stuff. I mean, obviously you trust his opinion on. I mean, been coaching high level running backs for a really long time, in addition to being a really successful head coach. So, but I think it's about par for the course on position coach involvement in terms of our process.
What are some of the skills of a runner that stand out?
Man, instant acceleration, vision, cutback ability, but his ability to work it back, not just completely bouncing it all the time, just kind of work it back inside. And then probably his contact balance.
How much more compensation was John complicated the average quarterback?
I'm not sure. I can't answer that.
He's a quarterback, the dynamic that you anticipated would be a 32.
Well, you try to project these things out, and we identified a couple teams that it might happen with, but it was a little. I don't know who was trying to trade for him or not. I can't answer that.
You measured 203 at the combine. How does that factor in the eval, and what would be the ideal weight you'd want him to play at?
I think that's a little light. I think that was a few pounds lighter than he said he played at. I think it's one of those things where once we get him in our program and figure out what the best like body comp is for him. I mean, I don't know if there's an ounce of fat on him, but we'll look at it and see what's best for us and best for him, and kind of go from there, right? I mean, we'll see.
He's 11 touchdowns. What does that say about his ability and decisiveness?
Yeah, like I said, I mean, his one of his super talents is basically just his ability to cut back and then kind of like crease it, and he's just got that, like, I mean, he has home run speed. He has a lot of explosive runs, and he's excuse me, he's returned 3 kickoffs for touchdowns in his career, 2 this year. You know, that's such a unique feel. The USC game was ridiculous. Yeah, just like that, you know, that's like the instant acceleration.
John, you talked about how you guys got for your team and the boards for your team, but you're also trying to figure out where other people are going to pick. Was this a harder year to kind of scout where people are going to fall in this draft?
Yeah. I'm sorry, there was a big gap. I'm trying to think of it, but I don't want to give away. Yeah, we'll talk about it later. But yeah, it was a little more. It's been a little bit. It's unique. It's been a unique first round.
Like, obviously, you guys
It went really fast. It was like
3 hours.
Yeah.
You have Rashid, but do you anticipate Jadarian helping out on kickoff return?
We're going to train him, and we'll just take it from there. So it's probably all I know right now.
Okay, when you identify somebody, we were talking about Jadarian, say he's a Seahawk. How is it instantaneous when you meet somebody that you kind of know right off the bat, or is it take a few minutes? How does that usually?
I mean, John can answer it too. To me, it's kind of just the culmination of the whole process. I think it happens at different times. I think probably the common denominator is like the shared excitement from everyone that's had like encounter with these people, and that's what gets you fired up. Is a lot of people that you respect, and they know them very way better than I do, and then yeah, that's what gets you fired up about it.
John, recognize you're pleased with the pick, but is there any concern with only having 3 picks the rest of the way at the standard?
Yeah, there's concern. Yeah. No, absolutely not. Yeah. No, I did honestly think we were going to be able to move there for a minute and still maybe have a shot at him, but sometimes these things just don't work out. We talked about it on the radio show today. I mean, 2021, I believe, we had the 3 picks, and we really wanted D, and so we picked him. And then the next pick, it was like we couldn't really move, and then same thing. So just at some point you have to make a decision.
As you guys studied, was there a play that like really stood
JD,
out?
cool kids call him JD, yeah.
Was there a play that really you guys like watched over and over again that really stood out?
Oof, that's a good question.
It's like a swing pass against Pitt.
Yeah, that was cool. The Arkansas. Swing pass. Was Arkansas?
Yeah, Arkansas.
Call swing pass and cut all
Mike,
the way back.
philosophically-
I guess it wasn't done anything.
You get that?
Didn't mean to-
No, go ahead.
Philosophically, are you like, hey, he's a first round guy. Was Zach hurt right now? He's RB1 from the first snap, or do you kind of more put him in the back of the line and he's got to earn his way up? Like, where are you on? How do you stand on that type of thing?
I think we'll just. I don't have a standing philosophy, honestly. Just come in, coach him up. You know, he'll get reps with all the groups probably at some point, and we'll go from there. You know, we're not just gonna stick him right there with the ones. But I mean, he's gonna have ample opportunity to earn a bunch of carries and a bunch of touches.
Mike, you mentioned Jadarian's family life. You talked about his mom's passed up last.
Yep.
Did you see how that made him, or what kind of impact that was, or what that spoke to you about?
Well, look, I'm hearing the story from the people that are involved in the process, and you know, it's an interesting exercise to put yourself in their shoes from when that happened in their life, and it, like that that really grounds you pretty quickly, you know. And so I mean, a lot of these guys throughout the whole process, you're just like, holy smokes, man! Like, you know, for them to be able to put themselves in this situation in their lives, given a lot of things that they've had to go through, is just really, really impressive. So you can't help but respect a lot of these guys.
John, some of the scouting reports on some concern listed about ball security. What have you kind of seen from him in that area and in scouting and evaluating?
Yeah, I think it's 3 times in the last 2 seasons, and it's something that, I mean, Thomas Hammock's awesome. I mean, he was already talking to him about some things on these Zoom calls, you know. So, yeah, I'm sure he'll improve.
Mike, as you're evaluating whether he is RB1, RB2, wherever he is, what is Zach's timeline, by the way? There's a rough timeline.
I can't give you a timeline right now, but I can tell you he's killing it. Like, he's just as we knew he would.
Yeah.
You know, we've said it the whole. If you're going to bet on anybody, it's Zach Charbonnet. But I'm excited for him. He's in great spirits. Like, you know, the guys downstairs are doing a great job with him, and you know, I think you just, with these long-term injuries, you just got to, like, you know, I say it all the time. You just got to, like, stack these things. You got to be able to get to the next thing and then go rip it, and that's what he's doing. So I'm excited for Zach.
John, whether it was Jadarian or someone else, how big of a priority was coming out of this draft with the running back for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, it was important. It wasn't any, I mean, we weren't going to, like, completely force it, but it was important. There's still some darn good running backs left, but yeah, it was definitely, you know, if you said, hey, your needs, yeah, it was definitely one of our. And we just lost a you know, really good runner in Ken Walker, you know. So yeah.
Anything else? Brian brought us said if you could.
So that's a yes, Dave. Yeah.
If you could draft a running back at every pick, you would.
Yeah.
What's your background?
Yeah. So well, I played the position growing up, and okay, Brian. And then, you know, when I started, it was like the position I was best at evaluating. And so, like, I didn't really know how to evaluate safeties as very well, or quarterbacks. So I was kind of like, well, this running back's pretty good, and that running back's pretty good, and that guy's good at this and that, you know. So, yeah, he's not wrong.
All right, thank you.
All right, on that note, have a good evening.
There you go. That is John Schneider and Mike McDonald talking about the newest Seattle Seahawk, and that, of course, is Jadarian Price, the running back. As we wrapped it, a couple things jumped out. We got about 10 more minutes left here, guys. It looks like, if I'm right, Jackson. Right? We'll go about 10 minutes left here, and we'll wrap things up. Couple things here that jump out, and make sure everybody's mic is on. This is there we go. Look at that, huh? Back in my producer days. All right, I think we're all good. All right, a couple things jumped out that I wrote down. Let's start with Jadarian Price before I get to the other thing, because the other thing is the number of times he talked about wanting to move out and do something, maybe still get Price. We'll get to that in a second. He said loyalty, and then they kind of downplayed it a little bit. But they talked about the loyalty. He stayed at Notre Dame. And in today's world, he probably could have gone somewhere else and made some pretty good money. He's playing behind the guy that was the number 3 overall pick in the draft, right? So it's an interesting concept that they have.
Yeah, and you know, we heard from Jadarian himself. He said he just loves Notre Dame. I mean, you know, you think of Coach Freeman there and the culture. I mean, I get a sense that they are really having a Seahawks-style buy-in and culture there. But you know, you mentioned the impressions about, you know, trying to talk back, you know, move back. I'd love to get the sound. Can we get the sound of, like, the first 8 or 10 seconds of John Schneider?
Did you hear what I heard? Did you kind of get a sense of something?
Look, usually if I make a claim on a radio, I'm constantly running a filter. Like, I want to have, if I make a claim, I want to feel like that's the locomotive, and there you know, there's some freight cars behind
you want
it.
the audio? I got it, Hugh.
Here you go.
Yeah, please.
Let's fire away.
Yeah, great player, great person. We thought we had some opportunities for a minute. They fell apart. There's a lot of trading going on there right ahead of us. But I mean, he kind of stood alone. I mean, great player. The person's outstanding. The competitor. He's just he's a Seahawk. It's really cool. And we were kind of actually concerned that people were going to go ahead of us because it was. It felt like it was.
That's what I got there.
Well, here's where I'm going to go. I'll just get right to it. I'm not in either of their heads. But, I'm 62 years old. You're about my age. We've seen people. My sense, and I don't have any evidence to back it up other than my gut feel, I feel like they were disappointed.
Okay.
I think John Schneider was disappointed. I think Mike McDonald was disappointed. I thought his body language, Mike McDonald, I feel like Mike McDonald might have wanted a defensive player. I'm having all this speculation, or maybe they're just exhausted. I could be dead ass wrong. I'm not going to freaking die on a beach about this claim. I'm just saying my gut, something fell off there to me.
Okay, we've been doing this, and Rob Rang with us as well, Hugh Melanie and Furness with you, 9 o'clock here on Sports Radio 93.3 KJR FM. We'll keep it here for a few more minutes. I wrote that down. I wrote that exact same thing down, Hugh, and that's why I'm glad you went down that road. I know you're kind of sniffing around talking to some guys. What's the impression you got?
I think that they thought they had a trade in place, and I think that they were pretty confident that they'd still be able to get Jadarian Price 5 picks later, kind of a thing. And so I can understand that disappointment. I also think.
Did you sense that? I kind of felt that way.
A little bit. Sometimes John comes in and I haven't seen Mike McDonald. Obviously, it's only been one other year. Where we've seen, Mike as head coach and being able to kind of gush about players. But there's been times where John's walked in it looked like he was cartwheeling in. He's been so excited about some of these players. And so maybe it is exhaustion. I think that's fair. I think, I can speak for myself. This draft flew, dropping from 10 minutes to 8 minutes per selection. I think if you thought you had a trade in place and suddenly it evaporated in front of your eyes, then I think that could kind of change some things too. So I think that's fair. I wanted to kind of give this analogy, and I apologize. I do think that there is something to be said about the idea of just put yourself, and let's say it's Thanksgiving Eve, you walk in the grocery store and you see there's one turkey left and you have 10 other things that are on your list, but you see there's one turkey left and you're like, you know what? I'm going to grab that turkey and I'll get the canned yams in a moment, but I need to get this damn turkey first. I think that there's an element of that here, that if you don't get the running back now, then you are not going to sleep well tonight, and you're potentially the easiest way to get yourself back to the Super Bowl is to make sure you still have this good run game going. And so I think I think they got their turkey, and then they're going to do the rest of the shopping as they go. And then maybe as you're sitting and rocking around, you're looking at that turkey like, it's a good turkey, but it's not the best one. Maybe I should have went somewhere else. But I do think that there's a sense of accomplishment that they checked the biggest box, but maybe they are not as exuberant about the player, because I think that they thought they were going to be able to get a little bit more than they got.
Well, I think that, look, we already had Schneider talking about how they want to talk. They all but took a biplane with a sign and flew it around every city in the NFL saying, we want to move back. All right, so we already have that going into the draft today. But then we had Jackson play the initial audio, but later
they brought it up again.
When he brought it up again, what did he say? He said there was all these trades at 25, 26, 27, 28, whatever the numbers were, and he said it looked like he seemed to allude. I'm going to paraphrase now, that they thought they had deals, and then because of all those trades that went by, and if we went through these detail by deal, it's a
well. Let me just tell you. 26 was traded, 27 was traded, 28 was traded, 29 had been traded earlier, 30 was traded, and 31 was traded.
I think what happened, what my interpretation
They're all traded
of
before.
what he said is that he thought that there was options, and then when they got to 32, nobody was whatever options had been on the table 20 minutes before, they weren't there. And they're sitting there going, nobody wants to trade with us. And then they go, who's the dude on our board? Now, maybe it was Price, and if they're disappointed, maybe it's just like, hey, we wanted that Price. Like hands down, we wanted Price. We just wanted to get him 4 picks later. and pick up, some of the deals we had were, we thought would really help us, and we'd still be able to get Price, or we're fine if we get Washington or whatever it may have been. I'm just telling you that you just kind of connect the dots on what we've heard and the body language, and something's amiss here.
Yeah, I think it's really simple. I think it's everything what you guys are saying. I don't think there's any doubt about it. That I think they, like what Rob said, they probably felt like they could get him later, and they could pick him up later, or a comparable back. They're never going to sit up that podium. They drafted Malik McDowell. They drafted a lot of dudes over the years. They've never sat at that podium and said, yeah, we settled for a guy. But it really felt like body language, and it's interesting that everyone's kind of reading the same thing. It felt like body language, tone.
Yeah.
It was about, that's the most subdued I've ever heard John Schneider after a first-round pick we've been in this building.
We've been in that interview, standing 10 feet away from him since 2010.
Since 2010, the 17th time.
Yeah.
This is time. This is the 17th
at any
time.
rate,
So I don't want to diminish
belabor the point,
but I think it is. I think it's important because the draft is all about. It's a strategy. This guy owns the draft. Like, he has done a great job in 17 years. This is draft 17. He has done a great job and he's probably had more wins. His win-loss record would be, if he's a pitcher, he's 20-1. Like, he's done really well. It just felt tonight, and Rob, you said it, there's times he comes in here cartwheeling that dude. Like, he's like, hey, brother, here we go.
Yeah.
And there was none of that today. There was none of that today. Doesn't mean and we should point out, doesn't mean he's not going to be a really good player. Doesn't mean this guy's not going to be an impact player for Seattle. I just think that they wanted to accomplish
some other
things. He's like
a quarterback after a game. Okay, it's 13 for 21, 191 yards, a touchdown and an interception. Not horrible, but nothing great. Like, I think he has a standard for himself. Like, I think that he, like an athlete, Schneider, like an athlete, is saying, "Hey, this is my time." Like, I'm on the top of my game. I'm gonna go, and I got all these. I'm gonna move down. Look, and I get I'm venturing into such speculation. You say, how are you putting thoughts in his head? But I think it could be a reasonable inference that he, as good as he is, and having already expressed his desire to trade down, having admitted in that press conference that they had a bunch of things on the line and then they disappeared, he thought that he was going to be the wheeler dealer, and all of a sudden when it came to there was no extra girls to ask to the prom anymore.
Man, it's tough winning the Super Bowl. You're 32 overall.
Yeah.
It's tough winning the damn Super Bowl. It's a hard place to be.
Yeah.
Real fast, I've got 2 minutes and 45 seconds.
Okay.
Quickly from you. Tomorrow. They're at 64 right now, last pick of the second round. They do have draft capital to work with if they want to do something else to get day 3 picks. Right now they're picking at the end of the second round, and then they're picking in the third round. What do you think, and what can they do? What kind of quality player can they get?
Yeah, cornerbacks and edge rushers are still really, really deep. There was probably 4 or 5 corners that we just talked about. Colton Hood, Jamad McCoy, Brandon Cisse, Traydon Stukes, that are, I expect, to go in the next 10, 15, 20 picks. And same thing with the edge rushers. Another 5 or 6 guys I expect to go in the next 10, 15 picks. Obviously, there's going to be some other players that are going to get selected. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if the best player available at number 64 overall is either a corner or an edge rusher, and it basically just kind of goes down the list like we talked about.
And there should be some quality there. With
very
those
good,
two
very much.
Okay.
There's good football players in this draft. They're just not superstars. And again, I think that this ultimately kind of tied in to your guys' point before. Like, I think John wanted to trade down. I think that he was surprised that all those possibilities evaporated. But you said it, Ian. Welcome to being the Super Bowl champion. Nobody wants to be your buddy anymore. They're trying to compete and be in your spot. And I think that those trades evaporated.
I got 90 seconds left. Go.
I think to say they're not superstars, think of all the Pro Bowl and Hall of Fame players from the second, third, fourth round. Alvin Kamara was a third rounder, right? Like, let's just stick to Seahawks. KJ Wright was a fourth rounder. Richard Sherman was a fifth rounder, right? Cam was a fifth rounder. Like, they don't seem like superstars now. That's why they didn't get drafted tonight. Yeah. But they're waiting. The football gods know they're a future superstar. It's just we mortals don't know yet. They're in that effing draft. Oh, yeah. And they're going to be drafted tomorrow.
So find them.
And,
Let's go.
And they're going to be drafted Saturday.
But I think that is
they're there.
I think that's the disappointment is this. they know the work they get done on days 2 and 3,
and they don't have.
They only have 3 picks left.
And they wanted to move down to be able to work that magic.
They want to find Cam, KJ, Sherm, all those dudes. They want Chris Carson, whoever it is. Okay, we got 30 seconds left. You got a final thought in 30 seconds?
I said earlier in the evening, I think the number one need for the Seattle Seahawks is running back.
They got it.
So they got a running back that many believe is the number 2 running back. Nobody believes he's number 1. Mike Washington, what have you. So let's end on a good note. K9 was a big loss. This is a big step to replace him. We'll see if he can play.
Hugh Millen, Rob Ragg, Ian Furness, Chuck and Ashley tomorrow morning at 7 or 6 o'clock. We'll see you then. Good night.